Justice Warriors, Justice League. How's it going? Good morning. It's Friday. It's Friday the 13th plus a week. So there's got to be something cool about that, right? Um, let me start with my regular stuff, like hit your like button if you don't mind. Share the video if you like it. Make sure you're still subscribed and turn on your notification bell to ring if you like to know when I'm going to do a surprise live, like right now. So I'm all alone, which, it's phenomenal how quickly you guys come in usually. And now I've jinxed it and I'm going to stay all alone, right? Oh, no, Mark, you're here. What do you mean? Oh, no. Oh, no. Hi. Good morning, Jazz Pixie Knickers. You guys are so freaking dependable. My goodness. Thank you for all the love and love you back. I have got a lot to share today. You might think I'd run out of material, right? I mean, I might think that I would too. But it's so good to review. And like I say consistently, every challenge is an opportunity and a gift. So you guys know for a year, I'll just admit it, for a year I've been struggling with some freaking whack job who pretends she's from London slamming me on the interwebs. And I've been very nice about it. She showed up in my freaking chat a few months ago and I was just like, see you next Tuesday, biatch. You guys know what that means, right? If you don't, just write down the initials and you'll love it. I gotta defend myself. Because I watched the whole like 52-minute video or however long it was. I tortured myself. No, it was actually extremely entertaining. It's hilarious. You should watch it. It's like as good as a Kids in a Hall skit. I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding at all. Um, I've just got to say, everything that I say is simply my opinion for the sake of conversation, hoping to be educational, hoping to rise above the juvenile mentality, hoping to learn something, hoping to spread love. And what else am I hoping for? I'm hoping to grow, but sometimes you got to fight fire with fire. And I feel very proud of myself that I've risen above it. I've taken the high road. I've been a grown up for a year, and it's time for me to get down and get dirty. Are you ready? You ain't never seen me like this. No, I'm just kidding. No, I gotta say, I just love you guys. I love how comfortable you guys make me feel because I feel like my videos are so much better when I'm just me. If you look back where I started, I was very stiff, but I was also just me. I've been very consistently over the whole past 13, almost 14 months of pretty much delivering the same type of message. And that I'm proud of. I'm all about consistency, predictability, stability. These are the things that make me thrive, and I think make a lot of us thrive. It's certainly like what you teach your kids, it's what you try to help people relearn when you're helping them in an inpatient psychiatric situation. And thank you guys so much for helping me with all the laughs about Googling all of my fake career, right? I just got to love it. So let me start by reminding you I'm not trying to blast anybody, but you got the YouTube meanies out there and they got it coming. If you're going to be a YouTube meanie, those who live in glass houses shall not throw stones. So yeah, I'm ready. Bring it. So, so a year ago, when I'd been on for 5 weeks, this person who'd had her channel for I think about a year and a half, and I don't even know if she had 200 subs, and she attacked me after I'd been on for 5 weeks. Thank you for the welcoming committee, YouTube. See you next Tuesday. So you are so funny, Pixie Knickers. Hi, chatters. Hit that like button, please. Susan Dodge and Mark Molina. Um, Nothing wrong with a 220. No, Mark, not at all. Not at all. But have you like found somebody that got 1,000 subs in their first week and decided to just like try to shred them, try to get them to like wither away and curl up in a ball and run and hide? I don't think so, because you're not that type of person. Oh, me? What? But no, you're here to help me. Um, no, I mean, we all do things, right? But anyway, I have a lot of material from this, and I've had a lot of comic material, but this is serious. This is about Kylie. This is not about me. Um, so, Tootsie and Mrs. Doubtfire, and I put the link to the video that I've been talking about in last Friday the 13th's second video. So there's two links in there. There's the one of the guy that you guys told me was clairvoyant, whose name I can never remember, and it begins with a J, and he's cool. So I put a link to his channel and one of his videos, and then I put the link to this video that, when Ara got kind of attacked on YouTube a week or two ago, that was really what brought this up for me. I think that was last week, wasn't it? And I don't like to talk about other people's stuff. Just in a nutshell, she was literally accused of being part of the Truckee Mafia. And when this content creator made her video about me, and she used half of one of my videos as a third of her content or a quarter of her content, that was the first thing I thought about her, was that she was part of the Truckee Mafia, possibly. She says she's from across the pond, and maybe she is, but let me just tell you a few things about mental health. It's different state to state, your laws and ethics, and it's certainly different from country to country. And in the British culture, people don't get therapy to clear their minds when they're stressed out about COVID and such, like she claims. There's a lot of stigma. Like, you think we have stigma about mental health in our country? We don't, compared to them. There's a lot of stigma. You only go get mental health treatment and counseling in the UK if you are like schizophrenic and beyond. And I know this from people who are from there. I've never been there, but I certainly wouldn't try to pretend that I know what the laws are in another country. It's hard enough to know the laws in your own country and in your own state. In our continental 48, and then you got your extra Hawaii and Alaska, and then you got Puerto Rico and another one, right? We got 52. Is it the Dominican Republic or something? I should know this, right? Anyway, it's different state to state. And, I'm still a licensed mental health professional in Washington State. I've been a licensed mental health professional there since roughly the year 2000, maybe 1998, I think, to be specific. Um, and to date, I've never had a complaint against me that I know of. And I would definitely know, because, then you're under investigation and stuff like that. So I'm still a licensed mental health professional in Washington State. I keep that status for my profession, although you guys know I live in Ohio now. I moved back here in '09. Prior to that, when I got my degree in California and did my internship in a psychiatric facility, and it was extremely educational. Um, I was a registered, what did they call it back then? Because they've changed it. It was like a MFCC. So I was a registered marriage, family, child, no, yeah, marriage, family, child, couples counseling. MFCC was what they called it in California. They've changed it a lot, which is good. They needed to revise it. Um, so when I was counting my hours to work on getting my license was when we moved from the Bay Area back up to the Seattle area. And then I proceeded to get my license in that state. So, long story short, getting your license reciprocated to a new state is very challenging, especially when you've been in two states. So, because of that, I've just kept it as an out of state license. I keep everything up to date, and it works for specific professional opportunities. And Ohio's, they're old school. Anyway, enough about all that. There's so many intricacies in the law and ethics of different states and different facilities. I mean, everybody's got their own culture, really. And, to try to pretend that that somebody's whatever. My favorite part about her critiquing me is that she says that I'm a phony and that I don't have any education and I don't know what I'm talking about. And then in the next breath, she says it's very unprofessional for me to say that Sammy's disgusting. Like, seriously. Like, I am literally so proud of that video that she critiqued. I thought that it might be a little cringeworthy to watch something from 5 weeks into trying my hand at this. But I think it was one of the first videos where I came out and kind of took a hard line with Sammy and Lindsay. And I was very trepidatious about doing it. And, I didn't do it the way this content creator wanted me to. So therefore, me bad. Oh my goodness, just the audacity. And now, she's gotten talked up by some of the really large content creators for Lord knows what reason. I mean, they must be blind, but that's fine. Different strokes for different folks. So now she has a lot more subs than me, and that's cool. Whatever, have a good life. Um, but I did want to share with you a whole bunch of information about it because it's very pertinent. It helped me kind of refocus on things in the Kiely Rodni case. And I've been so scattered lately, especially the last 24 hours with Natalie Holloway's thing blowing up. And then right before that, we had Suzanne Morphew's thing blowing up. And these are cases that I cared so much about. Suzanne Morphew's case was probably the first case where I thought I need to start my own channel because I had a lot to say about it and I just didn't have an outlet for it. I did actually. I got into like group chats and stuff like that. So um, anyway, back in the Natalie Holloway days, I mean, I never even considered anything like a YouTube channel, right? Also, as my career evolved and I got different work in more of the legal aspect of mental health and family therapy and stuff like that. Um, it changed my perspective on things. I've dealt a lot more with criminal activity. I'm not saying I ever worked in the criminal courts. I worked in the civil courts, the mental health court, the family court. Anyway, working inpatient is extremely different. Working outpatient is extremely different. Doing crisis and commitment evaluations is extremely different, especially in Washington state, because it is completely different than every other state in their approach to that. And I don't necessarily agree with their approach to it, which is one of the reasons why I continued to evolve my career and didn't stick with that job for a long time because that was a pretty cool job. I mean, you're helping people on the worst freaking day of their life. That's a pretty freaking cool thing to be able to do. Seriously, like what an opportunity, right? But it all comes with the yin and the yang and the good and the bad. And I felt like I had to wake up in the morning and put my boxing gloves on and go to work. And it was just like, defending myself, but ready to punch when I needed to because people would come at me. And these people would be very high caliber doctors and police officers and guys. And I was like 31 years old and I was a little blondie. And man, did they love to try to pretend that they had the upper hand, and they didn't. Like, they didn't know the laws of mental health in Washington state. Like, doctors don't have a freaking say in the matter. It was the county designated mental health professionals that made that call 100% of the time. In certain situations, I mean, every freaking situation is different. So you can't act like you know shit. As soon as you think you know everything, man, do you have another thing coming. And that's across the board. So that's not just mental health. So let's see what you guys are saying. Jacob, thank you, Mark. What's his last name? Because yeah, that I like that channel. I think it's cool. Hey, Rhonda and JR Nana Boomer. I'm trying to clean up my bad habit of hacking up your name. Dominique McGavin, hi. I think you've been in before. It's been a few months since I've been able to catch a live, been on replay for months. So happy to be here. Thanks for keeping great work and conversation. And Harsh One True Crime in Nature with Shelley. If you guys haven't subbed to Mark Molina's channel and Harsh One Shelley True Crime in Nature with Shelley, please check out their channels and sub to them. And that Jacob guy too, if you want to give me his last name, Mark. I'm sorry, I'm terrible with names. I mean, I'm amazed that I remember any of them when I'm doing my show because I'm constantly talking about cases that I didn't expect to talk about. But that's one of the things I love about doing lives is you just don't know what direction it's going to go. So yeah, let's see. Um, I don't need therapy. A couple of people around me do. Crazy people don't admit they are crazy. Joke, LOL. I know. I mean, I think there's nothing wrong with needing therapy, but in our country, when you get a degree to become a therapist, they can't mandate you to see a therapist. That's illegal in our free country, but they can encourage it so much that you might not get your degree if you don't follow through with a good amount of therapy, not just one or two evaluations or anything. And I don't know about Europe, but this content creator claims that over there, and she's never had therapy, but she did go to therapy twice or something like that. It's like she keeps talking out of both sides of her mouth. But that there, you have to do it because they have to like make sure that you're fit to be a therapist. I hope that that might be true, but can I tell you how many people that are licensed psychologists and psychiatrists that are 100% unfit for the job? Like, I'd say more than half are 1000% unfit for the job. There are hacks in every field. It's extremely dangerous to have those types in mental health, but there's a lot of them. There's a ton of them. You have to beware. And when you go into a counselor's office and you don't know that, do you know how many counselors still sleep with their freaking clients, you guys? I don't think I've ever talked about that. They talked about it when I was in graduate school in the mid 90s, and I was like, yeah, right. That's like so 70s. What are you talking about? I got into the field and it's freaking everywhere. It's absolutely insane. Typically, it's male therapists with female clients, and it's been that way since Freud. Seriously. And then they charge these people for it. We don't want to go down that road. I was not expecting to bring that up at all. There's a whole bunch of amazing stuff that I got here. Do I have 4 pages of notes to share with you guys? This might be a long one. Are you ready? Strap in, baby. I don't have 4 pages. Tell me I don't have 5 pages. Oh my goodness. I think I have 5 pages, you guys. But the last page is not much on it. No, it's 4 pages. I filled up that last page. Okay. So let me start at the back because I've never told you guys this about me, but that's pretty much how I've always read magazines. And I don't know why, but that's the kind of person that I am. If I try to read it from the front to the back, I won't read it. I have to go back to front. Okay. Can't remember his last name. Shame, shame. Hoyman, Jacob Hoyman, Rando. Thank you. Hello. Good morning. So you guys check out Jacob Hoyman, check out Mark Molina, check out Harsh One Shelley, and anyone else who's in here who has a channel or has a channel that they want to promote, please feel free. I will look for your videos today, Harsh One Shelley. Rhonda says, I know people think that mental and emotional abuse isn't abuse. Oh my goodness. Yeah, that's completely ignorant. I've been with a woman beater, an emotional abuser, and the emotional abuse was worse, messed me up bad. 100%, Rhonda. So many people are emotionally abused and don't realize it. And there are many people who are physically abused who, like you said, have been emotionally abused, and they're just like, yeah, you can just hit me, you can break my bones, just don't F with my head. Right? I mean, it's crazy. And it's crazy because it's the gaslighting. It's the not realizing you're being abused, not realizing that you're injured, not realizing that you're healing. It's just so effed up. And that's the other thing this content creator did in my video was she said I was a bad person because I dropped the F-bomb twice, and I'm just like, "See you next Tuesday, person." You should see that video where I dropped it like 200 times. That was something had happened in the Kiely Rodni case where I just couldn't stop dropping the F-bomb. And I apologized to my audience and said, "But there's times when it's appropriate, then there's just nothing else to say." So it's therapeutic for me. And different strokes for different folks. Like everybody can do their own thing. But I do want to get to the notes. And like I said, I'm starting at the back, but I don't want to lose track of you guys either. So where are you at? Yeah, I did that one. After my accident, I went to therapy and our therapist, and she looked like I did when I was younger, which made the hubs tell her it was weird at first for him. We went separately. That's funny. Yeah. Anytime anybody reminds you of someone else, it's important to pay attention to that because it's going to bring a lot up. And we all have that happen with various people in our lives, professionally and personally. That's a really important thing to pay attention to. Pixie Knicker said, I had a weird feeling when I watched the lady who made the vid about you, but I would watch her occasionally because I watch a lot about BK. Well, I unsubbed from her. Not cool with what she said about you. Well, that's sweet, Pixie. I don't think it's at all cool. I think she's completely insane, but I also think that she's accusing, in that video, I think she's accusing me of precisely what she is. And I didn't watch it last year because it was so emotionally rough to get that kind of treatment 5 weeks in. And yeah, I was amazed I had like, I don't know, 1,500 subs 5 weeks in. Like I hit 1,000, I think, before a month. I don't even remember. It was crazy. And then when that happened, my head was just spinning and I was like, "Oh my God, what have I gotten myself into?" And I just thought, I just need to like put on my big girl pants and strap in and be ready for it because I was digging this whole creative process. And so I did, but I made that decision. I shared with you guys that I just wouldn't watch people critiquing me. And I think it's always, good to be flexible and change your mind. So I changed my mind this past weekend after Ara's thing, because I really felt for her. I really identified with her, but she knew what was said about her. I didn't know what was said about me. So I went and checked it out. I braced myself. I thought, oh, this is going to be rough. And it wasn't rough. It was very warm and fuzzy because I was just laughing the whole time. It was hilarious. So when I tried to watch it a year ago, I could not take that person at all. I just couldn't take her voice. I couldn't take anything about her. Like, I thought she was wearing a wig. I thought she might have been hiding an Adam's apple. I don't have any problem with somebody being trans. I have zero problem with that. But be real and be who you are. And I thought there was no way in HE double hockey sticks that she was any kind of mental health, anything. Just my opinion. I could be wrong. I don't know everything. Come on. I know that I don't know everything. And I know that I say stupid stuff. I said something stupid yesterday. I'll clear the air with that. Which is why I review my tapes. Okay, let's see. But thanks for saying that, Pixie Knickers. I appreciate that. Like when people do you wrong, don't say sorry, but say wish you the best. Exactly. Exactly. And like I said, what comes around goes around. Like I'm gonna talk about it and I fully expect her to, come at me and maybe some other content creators too. And I really don't care. Like bring it. Bring it, MFs. Like I am not sure what I'm getting myself into, but you just have to draw a hard line when, like I said, this isn't about me. This is about these cases. This is about justice. This is about justice for Kiely. Yeah, when I said that maybe Lindsay and Scammy had some type of connection through substance use or distribution, I thought that was a pretty extreme suggestion, but that was about a second of a half-hour video, maybe 10 seconds, I don't know. And that was that was her, what do you call that? Like her launching point. That was where she leapt from. And Again, a year ago, I thought, does she know Lindsay? Is she part of the Truckee Mafia? Is she just trying to protect these people? I don't know. And it doesn't really matter to me anyway. I'm doing my thing. You do you, me do me. And I just love having you guys here so that you can keep me in line. Seriously, seriously. But I mean, one person criticizing me isn't necessarily going to change how I do something. It depends on who the person is and what they're saying and a whole bunch of other stuff, right? But it's good. It's good to get the pushback, right? The push and pull. Let's see. Oh, wow. Let's see. Let's see. I accidentally married a narcissist gaslighter once. Well, I'd say my mother and father are both narcissists, and we'll just leave it at that. Yeah, I mean, everybody has some narcissism in them to be alive and healthy, but it's another thing to be like a true, full-blown personality disordered narcissist or have enough characteristics of a narcissistic personality disorder that it's worth mentioning because you don't have to have the full-fledged diagnosis. You have enough characteristics and it'll be in your diagnosis that you have those characteristics. And again, to clarify, I am fully authorized to diagnose people and have been for 25 years. So I don't go around diagnosing everybody because in order to diagnose people, you have to ask them specific questions. But in my crisis and commitment work, it was required of me to do a full 5 multi-axis diagnosis of each and every person that I did an intervention with. And yeah, that's pretty presumptuous to think that you're going to know that in one meeting, but that was my job. That was required of me, and it was life and death. It was danger to self and others. I had to keep this person alive, and I had to keep them from hurting anybody else. So I had to know exactly what their diagnosis was. I had to nail it down. I had to know what their circumstances was. I had to know whether they needed to be stripped of their civil rights for 72 hours or and then I'd have to do a ton of paperwork to file in front of the judge. Or if I was going to do a less restrictive alternative, I had to substantiate that was a safe choice in the event that something disastrous were to happen. I had to have a solid paper trail. But it wasn't about covering my butt. It was about making sure that I did my job. Because, like I said, I was very well aware of the fact that I was meeting these people the worst moment of their lives. Nice to meet you. And it was a really cool job. There was a lot of cool stuff about it, but it was pretty hardcore. But it was fighting with the other professionals that was the worst part. The other professionals are usually much crazier than any of the psychiatric patients, both inpatient and outpatient. Not kidding. Anybody in mental health knows this. So let's see. I lost track of you guys. I think being a therapist wouldn't be easy. Nothing's easy, Rhonda. I mean, seriously, flipping burgers ain't easy. Pimping ain't easy. There's no easy way out, to quote Tom Petty. But I love being a therapist in both inpatient and outpatient. And I've loved my whole career that I've had. When I went to graduate school, I was not intending to ever become a therapist. I was intending to do other things with the degree. And then I felt like I kind of got brainwashed in graduate school to become a therapist. But I had the best mentor in the world at the psychiatric facility. I mean, she was literally famous in California, and she took one intern a year, and we're still like best friends. I mean, she's freaking amazing. Um, so I was very fortunate with that. But then, it had its downsides too. I mean, nothing is easy. And especially when you get that internship that everybody wants, they're going to come after your kneecaps, like Nancy Kerrigan's situation. So, and especially when you start doing professional presentations with them at the art therapy conferences, pisses off your peers big time. So like I said, you got to put on your gloves and be ready for it. And don't let it go to your head because we're all only as good as our last interaction. So I really screwed up yesterday and said something really stupid, but I'm so distracted by trying to stay on top of your conversation and my notes. So let me try to do all of it, right? Um, I love your comment there. I really do about being a therapist wouldn't be easy. I mean, it was really hard, the training for it, and especially in such a dangerous situation. That was where I had to do takedowns and physical restraints. And it wasn't just me. I mean, it was everybody on the entire staff, from the janitor up to the CEO. You know, you're in a space, a confined space with a person that's a danger to self and others, and they've gotten a hold of a pair of scissors. Everybody drops everything until that person is restrained. I mean, you have to, for everyone's safety, including their own. And it's not about abusing them, it's about keeping the place safe. So that was another point that she like used as a jumping off point, that was just like, okay, you've got no freaking clue what you're talking about. Um, so So, Rhonda, that's facts. My ex was both, and it was tough to get past that funk it tuck trucky. Yes, I know. Don't you love the trucky name? It's so funny how easy it is to make fun with that. She was awesome, and we would both go back to her, just don't need to live before. Hey, Crime Watch. Oh, I've missed you so much. So very much. I've changed my thing on my chat to every 10 seconds ever since you had mentioned that it was uh, annoying to have it at 15 seconds. So hopefully that's better. Let me know, because I'm happy to change it again if necessary, or even just to leave it off. It's no big deal. Um, and especially because my chat, you guys are so well behaved. So, and just be yourself, say whatever you need to say. If there needs to be some back and forth, that's fine. My grandparents made my uncle go to therapy back in the 60s because his best friend died in his car, and they expected him to be over in a day. Gave him shock therapy. My uncle was never the same. So yeah, the person I know who was kidnapped when she was a kid, I don't know if she ever had therapy for it. Again, back then you didn't have therapy for stuff like that. You just didn't talk about it. I mean, seriously, that was how a lot of people dealt with things. And I know other people who've been through extreme crazy situations who've never had therapy, and it's pretty unreal. But for the most part, they do all right. I mean, they're surviving, and as long as as long as they're thriving and not just surviving, not white knuckling it, and not being abusive, not continuing to be in abusive relationships, and not abusing substances or alcohol, which is really rough. It's hard not to. Um, so yeah, that's a great comment. Let's see. So happy to see your friend Kenny. Is there anybody that I've missed that I haven't said hi to? It's nice when the chat's small enough that I can say hi to each and every one of you. So if I missed you, please let me know. Let me get caught up here if I can. After I said I lost a few subs for standing up for Ara, I got a few extra subs from, I guess, your chat. Oh, see, and I don't know that the subs that you lost were actual real subs unsubbing. Um, I think that it's the shadow banning. And I put the link in yesterday's video, I think the first video yesterday, of Brush Junkie talking about being shadow banned. So she was getting so many subs that, like, when she would check on how many subs she had, it would be like rolling and counting as she was doing that. And I had that happen last year, like right as things were really taking off. I don't know, like 3 months in. It was crazy, and it was so cool. Like, I would like check every 10 minutes and it was always changing. I was just like, oh wow. And then, the more I get back into Kylie, it drops off and it goes down. And I don't think that's people unsubbing. And if it is, that's fine. But I think that that's the shadow banning. And yeah, they just don't want you to talk about things that they don't want you to talk about. So they'll punish you for it. So, it is what it is. I could go to another platform if I felt like I needed to. But that's good information, Harsh One. Thank you for sharing that. I thought she was wearing a wig too. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's a Tootsie Mrs. Doubtfire type of thing. And Kids in the Hall, I did find the Kids in the Hall clip that it reminded me of, those two escapees. But yesterday I was trying to find one of my favorite skits and I can't find it. I don't know if it's not online. I mean, there's a ton of excellent Kids in the Hall skits, so I'm going to continue to link them because people need the humor, I think, especially in true crime. Let's see. No channel for me. LOL, easier to watch than create content. Who Sunset Salty Sage says, so go to my second video from Friday the 13th, and the second and last link will tell you the answer to that question. I just don't want to do like the full blown blast because I'm kind of doing that today anyway. So I'm just trying to bring it down a notch by not putting it right out on front and center. We are ready. She is right there. Yeah, bring it, MFs. Kiely has a lot of good people in her corner. And, we are freaking Kylie's army and we are Kylie's family, right? I mean, not to be too weird about it. I'm sure there'll be people that are like, oh, that's so weird, these people. But yeah, whatever, to each their own. See, we're all human and nobody's going to be right all the time. Truth for Kiely, I've felt, as Lindsay have a weird connection, in my opinion. Oh, totally. I'm so glad I came up with that term, the makeout presser, because it needed to have its own name. Like back then, when I first was talking about it, I called it like the spooning thing. Um, anyway. It's possible I got pushback from a local YouTuber on Check It TV. Ugh. And there's some Truckee Mafia, possibly, in my humble conspiracy theory opinion. Oh, and she criticized me for my conspiracies too. Grr. And they're not conspiracy theories if they're actually accurate, which I'm pretty sure the stuff that I was talking about that she was jumping on me for is 100% accurate. Uh, that's kind of come to light since then, 12 months ago. Who put his stuff behind a paywall and knew the grandpa? Ah, these people. And the whole thing, like, I mean, I was the one that discovered that the grandpa had the water rights, you guys. And then all kinds of people ran with that, and nobody ever kicked me a bone of credit. I was I discovered that and I thought, what the heck? So let me go here with the murder of crows, you guys. That's the very last thing in my 4 pages of notes. You remember, if you've been paying attention to the Idaho 4 case, that last year, August 21st of 2022, a guy who worked for Blue Sky Realty, ring a bell, called the Moscow PD and said, "Oh, Lord of me, there's so many crows at 1122 King Road that I'm calling 911 about it." Excuse me? So I remembered this from all of the crap that I was looking at with the whole critique thing. And I was like, man, I got to Google that. So I didn't write down the words that I Googled. Where's my phone? I think it fell, but I had it because I wanted to show you guys some stuff. Um, let's see if I can find it. If I can't, that's okay. I got so much material to cover. Um, one sec. That's weird. Where'd you go, phone? I'm sure it's right here in my pocket, right? That is bizarre. Anyway, it's just not meant to be. That's fine. Um, okay. Is it under my chair? Yeah. Told you it fell. Let's see if I can pick it up with my monkey feet. Let's see. Okay. So these are the words that I Googled. I can tell you exactly because it's still here. Blue Sky Realty called 911 on August 21st. And let's see. So Blue Sky Realty called 911 on August 21st, 2022 about crows in Moscow, Idaho. So when I Googled that, it first thing that comes up is says it looks like there aren't many great matches for your search. And I was like, yeah, I figured. But then I went to the very first one and it says big country news. Moscow Police Department daily activity log Sunday, August 21st, 2022. I shit you not. Let me show you if I can get there to be no glare. I don't know if I can. Because that stupid ring light. No, I can't. Please, phone, behave. So all you can see is the picture, but maybe it'll work better where I took some screenshots. And I apologize for not being a whiz with the technology. There, can you see that? So that's the same picture, but bigger because that's when I tapped on it. God, that's annoying, isn't it? Makes me want to shoot that light bulb right out. Anyway, I'll just read it to you. So you can Google the same thing. It's Moscow Police Department Daily Activity Log, Sunday, August 21st, 2022. And then this one, that's the specific one, the time is 14:58. So that's almost 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And this is the code for it, just so you know, this is all for real, but you're not going to be able to see it because of the stupid glare. 22-M07005 welfare check, incident address 1100 block Kouse Street, Moscow ID 83843, disposition CLO, time reported 14:58. CAD comments, RP saw a ton of crows on a roof at this address and got concerned. He would like a welfare check done to make sure everything is okay. Who in the world calls 911 because there's a ton of crows on somebody's roof? Are you freaking kidding me? And then this department that doesn't do reports on anything, or even they didn't even go out to the dumpster with a freaking brain on it. They didn't even go talk to people who owned a dumpster with a freaking brain on it. But they took this really seriously enough to make it like an incident report. What? So isn't that weird? The coincidence. Remember, we all remember August 21st was the day that little Ms., our dear one, Kiely, was discovered, right? Make that make sense. Okay, I'm so far behind with you guys. So let me just jump forward. I hate to miss all this stuff. Did I just blow your mind? Like, I don't know that these cases are connected, but what the F? Who the F calls about a murder of crows? Calls 911 and says, "Oh my goodness, there must be something wrong with this house because there's all these birds on it." And yes, we're in a Hitchcock film. Give me a freaking break. Let's see. Thanks so much for being here, you guys. I can never spell Chihuahua. I know, me too. Ninja Chihuahua. Hey, girl. I think you're a girl. Doesn't matter. Nice to see ya. And Rhonda says, some creators cuss like sailors, LOL. I don't get offended with cussing, way worse things people could be doing. Right. And I think YouTube doesn't like it, so I try not to do it. But in real life, I do it a lot. And I don't freaking care. I'm like a sailor. Who effing cares? And yeah, sometimes I've known people who've been like, "Oh my goodness, could you curse less?" And I was like, "Oh, sure, when I'm around you." There's not many people. Most people love it because they curse too. And then they're like, I mean, I have people apologize to me for cursing if they don't know that I'm like that. And I'm like, yeah, if you heard me talk, you'd be laughing at yourself right now. Top of the morning to you all. Hello, Lisa. To you, Justice. Is my first time commenting. Absolutely love you. Keep up the good work. That's very sweet of you to say. And I seriously got like one of the sweetest comments in the world yesterday, I think in the comment section after, and they said that this was like their safe place or something. And I was like, that is just too nice. Wife number 4, that's crazy. I don't swear a lot. I live by myself, so no point in swearing at myself. Oh, I still do it when I'm alone. Totally. I have a close family member who is a therapist as well. Oh my God, my sister used to like get on me because, sister rivalry. She'd be like, "Well, you're the perfect therapist. You figure it out." And then I came back with, "Well, you're the perfect therapist sister. So how come you don't know everything?" Yeah, therapists have their own problems. And even if they're super amazing at helping other people, that doesn't mean anything about their personal life, period. We all have our own issues, no matter who we are. Right. Um, I cuss like a drunken sailor and say it's why nothing I post is for kids. I have a big heart for all people, and that's not always a good thing. It's true. Yeah, having too much compassion. I mean, I have compassion for the see you next Tuesday person. I do. I think that that was ridiculous that they made that choice. And then I couldn't find it, and I thought they took it down. It was just hard to find. And so when I thought they took it down, I thought, well, they probably got forced by YouTube because I tried to launch a complaint for stealing my content, but it was just that I couldn't find it. And I wouldn't be surprised if they take it down at some point, but the damage is done. You hurt my feelings. Kidding. I mean, it is hard to be blasted. That was the only hard part, but I kind of wish I would have watched it a year ago because then I just could have laughed it off. But that was kind of the feeling that I had from watching her for like a whole minute, and I just couldn't take it. And I was like, I don't care what that whack job has to say about me because she's obviously not qualified for nothing. And then, yeah, then when I watched it, I was like, I love what she says. I love how she says that I'm like a Google wannabe professional, non-professional, fake phony, but that is very unprofessional for me to say that Sammy's disgusting. And then she turns around and says, I'm disgusting a whole bunch. So I'm not allowed to say a person that I suspect of being a teenage serial unaliver. I'm not allowed to say that they're disgusting when they're all smug and they're posting videos of somebody getting kidnapped and scalping and uh, what are the chances of getting killed by your best friend if her chest is bigger than yours. I'm not allowed to say that person's disgusting, but then this see you next Tuesday person is allowed to say that I'm disgusting because I like to drop the F bomb when necessary. Like I said, you haven't seen me this mad, have you? Maybe once or twice. Anyway, fourth time is a charm. Nothing wrong with 3 ex-wives. Yeah, hit the like button, and I'm trying to be in chat and have to get some cleaning done today, but I woke up to one. Um, I reckon exes are so called for a very good reason. I know it's marrying the ex, remarrying the ex that can be dreadful. And it can also work. Yeah, I mean, you just never know, right? I thought it was 3 times was a charm. I bought my ex a chair for Christmas, wouldn't let me plug it in. Crime Watch. You funny. You hilarious. Did you just make that up or is that something you picked up somewhere? I gotta know. That's great. I've been trying not to let myself be angry as much, and I'm praying and talking to God, and I bet I seem nuts talking out loud at home, just the dogs and me. I'm a talker. Well, and I think that that's an important approach. And sometimes I think you just got to get shit off your chest, right? Never have to argue with my bulletproof vest. Sublime. What I got. I love quoting songs. See, I didn't used to allow myself to do that because I didn't want to seem all random and rando and stuff. Yeah, everyone's laughing at Kenny. I like your videos. Remember when I subbed? You didn't have very many subs. You're doing great. Well, it's funny that I had 1,500 or more in 5 weeks, and then it's stabilized at the 4,000 for many, many, many moons. And that's fine. I mean, I like having a smaller channel, actually. I like not worrying so much about like being responsible for like 100,000 subscribers or whatever. Um, I mean, every gift has a curse. So every challenge has a gift. A lot of channels I watch the live chat but don't comment. Hey, lurkers, hit that like button. We won't tell. This crafty fella, man, he is too funny. And Crime Watch, you guys are like brothers. You're like internet bros, right? From across the pond. I keep getting unsubbed from your channel. Very strange. Crime Watch, thank you for letting us know. That's exactly what I'm talking about. So that maybe is why we haven't seen you for a while, because you haven't gotten any notifications, or you see, I thought maybe you were annoyed with that whole 15-second thing. Do you share videos often? If so, that might be why. Um, oh, really? So you have to share videos to not get unsubbed? Because I don't share many videos anymore because I'm too busy trying to keep up with you guys. We just learned to lean on our friends and a few family, and that's how we got through it. But I think we could have used the help. But we were grown up at the age of 12 and 13. It was a different world. Yeah. Some chats are so negative they attack you if they don't like your opinion. Oh yeah, Rhonda, I've been there, done that. And it's like, oh, okay, keep my mouth shut, right? It's like same think. Yeah, you need to think like us or shut the F up. Like that's so stupid. Why do you want to be in an echo chamber? And why do you need other people to agree with you to feel okay about yourself? Like that's sad. Seriously, it is. I sometimes share them, but not a lot, just when I think they are worthy of a share. I'll figure out. I got bots and trolls before I got 50 subs, and I just blocked them, and I don't worry about them much. I'm not uh, paid from YouTube, and we support the truth for Kiely. Yeah. Yeah. The thing with the bots and the trolls is you don't know what's what because of the artificial intelligence. And yeah, they're ridiculous. Um, I mean, trolls are ridiculous. Get a life. Hey, Sunset. Good morning. Just sleeping in chat here. Sammy is the daughter Lindsay wanted. Yuck. Jazz, you sounded like the Wicked Witch of the West there. Oh, which part? Is that a good thing? Just kidding. Come here, my pretty. Surrender Dorothy. That's my favorite. In the Sky, Surrender Dorothy. That is just so funny. Those people were so far ahead of their time. Surrender Dorothy is one of my favorite things out of that entire movie. And I have a lot of favorite things from that movie. Um, sorry, watching House of Representatives vote, and you too. Damn bloody keyboard and Justice. I'm buffering so bad. I've refreshed. I know it's on my end. Well, thank you for letting us know, Rhonda. Because, yeah, I think there was some buffering yesterday for me when I was reviewing my videos, and I was wondering. And again, it could be some of that good old shadow banning. Just mess with you a little bit here and there just to try to wear you down. Sunset, I'm not sure, but I will help if I can. What do you need, hun? Oh, what did I miss something? Watching house. Oh. Oh, let's see. ADHD on turbo this AM. Still trying to catch up, you guys. I know that some people really like it that I read the comments, and I really like to read the comments because there's so much good stuff here. But it definitely makes for a much longer video. Oh, and I'm missing all this stuff about the crow call. So let's see. Crime Watch says, I still don't think Koberger is guilty. I never have really. I agree with you 100%. I thought he was at first, but that quickly came undone with it was when they kept releasing information that wasn't really supposed to be released because there was a gag order. I was like, it was too much. It was an overabundance of proving that he was guilty, but we weren't having a trial yet. And it was like right out of the gate. And I was just like, yeah, right. I think it was like by New Year's because he was arrested on the 29th. And then like by the first or second of the month, I was like, yeah, no, I'm not buying it no more. At first, I totally did. I was like, ooh, they got him. He's got the crazy eyes. It's definitely him. And then with all that Josco 1972 and all that other weird stuff, it's like, oh yeah, that's him. Oh, he's so stupid. He did that and he did that. And oh yeah, he's dumb. No, 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 no. Not even a dumb person would be that dumb. Give me a freaking break. But they're having fun trying to make the smart guy look like the biggest moron that ever walked the planet. Ian Harsh told a lot of Porky Pies. Ian Harsh is a very suspicious character. I think that he's directly involved. I don't necessarily think that he went into the house on that night, but I think that he's has a long history with the substance trafficking and a long history with the law enforcement in Pullman and Moscow. And he had apartments in both Pullman and Moscow. And he was a chef, Chef Dizzy. So he's really good with knives, and he would have a lot of knives. And he came out early on and talked a lot and contradicted himself a lot. My ex is narcissist. Believe me, I don't bother saying anything. They are more comfortable with a lie. Right. It's so true, Rhonda. So crazy. I almost feel they were under so much pressure to find who did it, they would have grabbed who they could as well. I believe that, Mark, but I also believe that they're covering for their own heinies. I think that not only did they give the green light, they might have been there. Especially the ones with the military training, if you catch my drift. That crow call was sus AF. I asked the hub about his thoughts on it, and he said, "Do I remember the unalived critters in your yard years ago and what they crows, nothing was left after they did what they do?" Um, so the fact that that was on August 21st, like, could there be a connection there? That call was made in Moscow, what, 1,000 miles away from Truckee? Um, and there's probably more connections than just Bethany Funk having graduated from Reno High School and then allegedly attending Truckee High School for 1 year, and then being not a witness but a survivor of the thing that she was there for, but didn't see anything because she had her eyes closed, didn't hear anything because she was busy on the phone. Break. See, those police are sus AF. I mean, the thing is, the problem is they can say all that crap and people trust them because they're police and they're law enforcement and they're authority. And we've all been conditioned not to question authority, which is insane when they say insane stuff like that. Completely. Um, I'm not sure about the K-Burger guy. I think he just fits the profile so they can close the case, but I'm not sure it was only him, if at all. He's creepy though. Yeah, I mean, they certainly show pictures of him that look creepy, and they touch those pictures up to make sure he looks extra creepy. Um, I am leaning more towards he may have had very little, if anything, to do with it. But I also think that he was hired by the Pullman PD because they've never said who filled that position, and he was one of the 4 finalists. And they tried to make it sound like he was one of 4 applicants and that they didn't really hire anybody. And it took a year for me to find out that he was not one of 4 applicants. He was one of 4 finalists. I just found that out like a week ago from another content creator, and I wish I could remember who. But I did a lot of my own research on that, a lot of my own research. So, yeah, I couldn't find it. I found a lot of other great stuff, a lot of very telling stuff on both departments, the Wazoo department and the Pullman PD. Those places are crazy. They might even be crazier than Moscow. I don't know. It's a tough call. Moscow does a better job of looking like Mayberry, right? I mean, Pullman doesn't even try to look like Mayberry. I told you guys that place is like National Lampoon SA town, like frat boys gone wild. That's what they should call their town and their college. No offense. But anybody who's been there or who's from there knows that that's precisely accurate and true. So we can ask Wazoo Kim, right? Oh, let's see. No report, no Frucky, truth for Kiely, truth for Kiely. Wasn't Kiely found that day, Rando? That's what I'm talking about. Like, WTF. And then when people found that last year, I can't remember if anybody made that connection back then. I honestly can't remember. I mean, we get so bamboozled with so much of the gaslighting. So I literally, it was just this morning that I was like making that connection. And maybe it's been made before by other people and I knew that. I can't remember, honestly. I'm just as screwed up as anybody. I mean, they're good at the gaslighting, are they not? And then again, all these other cases. And this is why I just want to go back to Kiely and just stay focused because I got so caught up with the Suzanne Morphew getting discovered. I got so caught up in the last day and a half with Joran van der Sloot's latest lies. Give me an effing break. These people will never tell the truth. Like Chris Watts will never tell the truth. Scammy will never tell the truth. Joran's never going to tell the truth. None of them. You think after a while you would need therapy, be hearing people's problems day in and day out. Well, Rhonda, I'm telling you, it's like a paid vacation because you literally get to take a vacation from your own problems. If you're too caught up in your problems while you're listening, you won't be a good therapist. So you're helping them with their problems and you get paid. And my own spouse used to think that it was weird of me to do that. And some of my clients would ask me, like, isn't it awful hearing all these people's problems all day long? And it's like, no, because people are here, they want to change, they're doing the work. And if you're a good listener, you can help propel them forward. But no good therapist would ever take credit for anybody's progress because it's theirs, it's their work. And really, you're just there to listen and to be an active listener. And it's amazing how many of us, self included, sometimes we're not really listening. We think we are, but you'll be having a conversation with a friend and they got their agenda, what they want to talk about. You got your agenda of what you want to talk about. And, you're just waiting for them to shut up so you can say what you need to say. But you can't do that when you're a therapist or you're ridiculous. Um, then definitely get out of the field. But no, paid vacation for my own problems. I'll take it. Thank you very much. And yeah, and helping people with the darkness that I've seen in my own life experience, it's really nice to be able to use that to help people come out of dark places. I have this side by side of Zanime and BF. They look a lot alike. Harsh one. Crow call, very strange, and too many to name. No report taken in Idaho is really pees me off. A CRV with Kiely's license plate was recovered from Prosser on August 21st, still not proof Kiely Rodni was in the vehicle. Case isn't closed. Good job, Sunset Salty. I think every word you said is 100% accurate or 1000% accurate. So, okay, back to painting. Pixie Knickers. I'm going to highlight that just because, yeah, you do you, girl. Love it. Love ya. Have a good day, Pixie Knickers. Rhonda says, well, I'm just happy that I caught the live this morning. We had to go to Nashville yesterday and it was an emotional day. Not bad, just tough when our babies are grown before we are ready because we are blessed. Yeah, isn't it crazy how fast they grow? Um, ooh, Labradorite round ring, so pretty. This one is the Labradorite. This one is aquamarine. So yeah, good eye. Good eye, Sunset. Funny. Kenny is my favorite comedian. Old joke. Oh my God, I'm so far behind. Be as random as you truly are. That's what makes you awesome. I'm trying to stay on there straight and narrow. Um, I get you, my pretty, and your little dog too, Susan Dodge. Thank you for finishing that thought. I'm Abbott Troll. I'm an AI bot troll rando. Truth to every joke, right? We all have to be careful. I mean, seriously, especially with comedy because it's easy to offend. Um, I'm so far behind. I love trying to keep up with you guys. Mark Molina, we need to do a little live or video together soon. I'll go for a hike and maybe I don't get any notification even though they are on. Must be because it's me, LOL. Well, yeah, they just can't do it across the pond. I used to be a very indecisive, but now I'm not too sure. Oh, too cute. I used to be very indecisive, but now I'm just not too sure. I'm sorry, but I think it's YouTube messing with content and pushing the ones who are following those things they want us to so we can get paid. Yeah. Um, hey, bot subs trolls, I'm on YouTube. Mark is advertising, like, yes, he'll take all the bots and trolls that he can. I know it's hard when you're trying to build up your channel, but at least you can do lives because when I was doing it a year ago, you couldn't do a live until, well, I guess there were different benchmarks. So maybe you hit one of the other benchmarks. So I was trying to get 1,000 subs so I could do lives. And I had no idea how valuable doing lives would be. I kind of thought, oh, that's going to be a lot of pressure. Um, Goodness gracious. Okay, I just got to go to where you guys are at, or I'm going to just stay behind forever in a day. I'm sorry. I'll catch all those awesome comments. I hate so much to miss them. But let me just get going with, since I've only shared the one thing, Blue Sky Realty. So the guy who called in the murder of crows on August 21st, 2021, um, he was from Blue Sky Realty. And there's a lot of Blue Sky Realty weirdness. I mean, Blue Sky it's a Montana thing, which is where Kylie's granddad and her mother were from. Okay, so here we go. Um, so in the beginning of the critique, the person who says she's mental health, which is a weird way to phrase it in and of itself, says, I know suicide, I know domestic violence, I know anxiety, depression, and she's just like listing all these things. It's kind of weird the way she's talking. And at first I thought it was like a language barrier, but if she's British, then it's not a new language for her. But I don't know what she is. I don't know if she knows what she is. If she'd like to step forward and share, I'd welcome that. But she says this is a quote: "I'm definitely a licensed mental health counselor." Why is she saying that? Like, that's hilarious. I'm definitely a licensed mental health counselor. You guys, I want you to know that I'm definitely a licensed mental health counselor. Like, it's weird. And then she goes on to say that psychiatrist just gives diagnosis, not treatment. And you know what? That's not even close to always true. I've known psychiatrists who do the therapy that are good. I've known a lot of terrible psychiatrists that are not good at diagnosing. I don't know if, in a different country, maybe that is the way they do it there, but it's very presumptuous to think that from one country to the next. Like, you don't even know one state to the next. You don't even know one facility to the next. You don't even know one practitioner to the next. I mean, ridiculous. Um, and then she goes on to say there's different types of counseling, and she kind of reminds me of Napoleon Dynamite there, the domestic violence counseling, the suicide counseling, anxiety counseling, depression counseling, bereavement counseling. And then she explains what that means for any dumbass who doesn't know that big word. Cha-ching! It means loss. Okay. And yeah. Um, and then she says this sentence, and again, like, I thought it was like a language barrier, because she says there's different skills to anxiety. Maybe that was why it reminded me of Napoleon Dynamite, because of the skills. Different skills to anxiety. I think maybe she meant different skills to treat anxiety, but that is my expertise, is post-traumatic stress disorder and other stress disorders, and anxiety is a stress disorder. Um, and I don't consider myself an expert. That's just where I have focused my career, because that's just where it's taken me. People just want to get their thoughts in order, is what she thinks counseling is. People just need to get their thoughts in order. And yeah, that might be, but that's not how they do it in the UK. In the UK, if that's your only problem, you're not going to sit down and pay somebody and let people know that you're doing that, because there'll be a lot of stigma and people will think that you're a freak. That's how it is in the UK. Remember when Princess Diana was getting therapy and how much that pissed off the royals? because you don't do that over there. Even if you're not married to or divorced or baby mama to a royal, you simply don't do that over there, no matter who you are, especially if you're Princess Diana. Good for her that she bucked the system and said, screw you guys, I need this, I'm doing it anyway. She had really serious issues and she was doing an amazing job getting herself together in a really hopeless situation. And she got out of it right in time to get red rummed. So this content creator also called histrionic personality disorder historical personality disorder. And again, could be a language barrier, could be a brain to mouth problem. I don't want to judge. I'm just pointing out because she was nice enough to point out all the stupid things that I say and do. And then, the brain just becomes too foggy is why people go to therapy. And yeah. Um, So she says, I've never been to a therapist, but I was sent as a student to be evaluated because that's what they do to see if you're fit to be a therapist. Like I said, there are so many unfit people in the profession and they hide out like camouflage and they have many people fooled. Many people are fooled just because you have a degree that gives you the authority and the seal of approval. And it doesn't. There's so many hacks in every single field, including mental health. The continuation of what really made me laugh is we have to be in the best shape mentally to advise people. Again, not true. We can be in horrible shape mentally, able to provide good service for other people to such an extent that we have no idea what our own needs are. That is not just mental health. That's pretty much any like caring, nurturing kind of career. Especially I've seen that with nurses, I've seen that with physicians, I've seen that with teachers, I've seen that with a lot of good people that are really good at their craft, but the better they get at helping other people, the easier it is for them to run from their own issues and not work it out. So what's best is to keep that balance. You have to stay on top of your own stuff because especially when you're dealing with trauma, everything is going to push your buttons. So you need to know what is you and what's not you. Um, and then again, she says the DV, family treatment, all that. I'm an expert in domestic violence, family treatment, and all that, and cognitive behavioral therapy, which actually I was trained not to be an expert in cognitive behavioral therapy, but I definitely have an expertise in cognitive behavioral therapy. So just put that out there. Her definition of it is negative thoughts deals into negativity. Negative thoughts deals into negativity. Freaking genius. Negative thoughts deals into negativity. And she says it like 10 times. It's like this chain reaction. The negative thoughts keep dealing into negative emotions and negative this and negative that. And change it. No, don't change it. She says that literally like a sentence, like, okay, and so in cognitive behavioral therapy, we're going to change that, not change it. Huh? And then there's the prioritizing of the topics in this la la land where she's an expert. You are only allowed to have 2 problems to work on in therapy. You're only allowed to work on therapy for no more than 3 months because that's just ridiculous. And 6 or 7 issues is too many. You can't do that. So that's the way it is. And it's all about the here and now. It's not long term. It's 8 to 10 appointments. It's unnecessary after 3 months. And that might be true and accurate if you Google cognitive behavioral therapy approach, but in real life, that's not a thing in my experience and in my humble opinion of conspiracy theories and allegations and lies. And then something about a phobia of spiders, OCD. Many thing we work on that. Many thing we work on phobia of spiders, OCD. And she even said that she spoke of me once before, so I need to know when she spoke to me before, so I can look into that too and get some more laughs. Um, so she says that I, quote unquote, make false statements. She directly accused me of lying many times, especially about the restraints, because that's crazy. Um, and then she says something about like brain doctors. I'm pretty sure she said brain doctors. Like the brain doctors are the only ones that do these things and that things and the other things. And again, in one of the many positions that I've held in my career, and I've had many, many different positions in my career. One of them, that county designated mental health professional title that dealt with danger to self and other crisis and commitment evaluations and assessment and referrals. We called ourselves the Brain Police, and the people that we serviced called us the Brain Police. Like, oh God, the Brain Police, get away. Many people thought I was a lawyer when I would arrive because I was kind of dressed like a lawyer. I had a briefcase, I had a lot of paperwork, um, and I was a young woman. So, yeah, I must be a lawyer because I certainly couldn't be any kind of like mental health expert, right? Anyway, um, again, I didn't consider myself a mental health expert because you're only as good as your last evaluation, and you don't know how good your last evaluation was until long term because the recidivism and the outcome, you just might not ever find out. If something bad happens, you'll find out maybe right away. And there were people who made really bad decisions in that job. And yeah, it would be on the news the next day. They might be on the news the next day. Not good. Anyway, so yeah, court orders are the only people, yeah, the brain doctors and judges are the only people that can do that, in her opinion, of maybe what she's seen. But that's the only way the court order is done is if in the work that I did in Washington, is if the county designated mental health professional could substantiate their case with all of the paperwork, then the court order would be done. But you certainly would not put a case in front of a judge that a judge is going to say, oh no, this throwing this out. I mean, that would be the end of your career as a professional there. Because like I said, zero margin for error, zero, in my opinion. So then she starts talking about Don Wells. I thought she was talking about me, but then she's talking about Don Wells and how he must be getting drug treatment and mental health counseling. Right. Yeah, they've got the best mental health counseling in jail. Uh-huh. And there's a name for something when someone's getting both substance abuse treatment and emotional counseling. It's called a dual diagnosis. So she didn't have that lingo, psychobabble, 25-cent dual diagnosis. That's a real simple one. And that's real basic. So, brain doctor. Uh, she says this is quotes. I clearly see and hear her talking about Scammy, saying she's disgusting, and she's disgusting to say that Sammy's disgusting. And then she goes on to say that she calls Scammy sketchy. That's okay because she doesn't call her disgusting, and it's not okay for me to call her disgusting because that's unprofessional of me as a fake mental health professional. And it's very disappointing to her that as a fake mental health professional that I'm so disgusting to call Sammy disgusting. She even says this, you don't know how you affect people. Well, it's like, yeah, you have no idea how you affect people, right? I mean, this woman like almost gave me a heart attack when I first saw the video. When I saw that it was from allegedly the other side of the pond, I was like, oh no, I'm getting globally blasted 5 weeks in. Like I said, thank you for being the president of my welcoming committee. And she used this word that's not a word, unmindful. She's very unmindful in all of her conspiracies, and she's hurtful. And, I'm thinking that this might be hurtful to her, but I'm simply mirroring back to her. That's all I'm doing. I'm just mirroring back to her. So I appreciate you guys being here and supporting me in this because I need to get it off my chest. I got one last page and I'm done with this crap, hopefully. Unmarked, unprof. but I don't think you can be unprofessional if you're not a professional. I'm so confused. Um, and then um, my opinion is that she may have an alliance with Lindsay, and she kind of said, not kind of, she did say, like, some people might think that I have an alliance with Lindsay, but I don't. It's like, well, why are you even bringing that up then? Huh? Um, and then she just continues to claim that I have no experience and that I'm lying. And then she says something about like where she went to school, it's a 4-year degree in a university. I've never heard of that for a counselor. For a non-licensed counselor, it's a 4-year degree, but in our USA, to become as any type of certified counselor, you need to have a master's degree. So you need to have the 4-year undergraduate and then at least 2, if not 3 years of a master's degree, if not 7 years of a PhD. So I actually have like between 9 and 10 years of schooling. It's kind of embarrassing. But that was because I took 5 years getting my doctor, or I'm sorry, my bachelor's. I have not gotten a doctorate, but I have enough years to get a doctorate, which is why it's embarrassing. But I've never been in a doctoral program. And you, for those of you that might remember, I had applied to one last year, but I haven't applied to any lately. And I've only applied a handful of times in the last like 20 years. So the first time I applied, it was to the University of Washington, and they weren't accepting anybody that year. And the second time I applied, it was to a school in Ohio, and they weren't accepting anybody that year either. And I knew it when I put my applications in, but I just went ahead and did it anyway for fun. And then the program that I applied to last year at Notre Dame University has like literally the lowest acceptance rate in the country. It's like about 2%. So there's like 12 or 13 spots, and I want to say they had like 500 applicants last year. So I was crushed that I didn't get it. No, I'm just kidding. I would have been stunned if I did. Anyway, it's something that I have in my mind all the time, is continuing my education formally or informally. So I did a 3-year master's program in 2 years, but I did postgraduate studies between bachelor's and master's. And then I did more postgraduate studies after my master's. And I was working on becoming a certified chemical dependency counselor when I had my first child. So I was like this close to being a certified chemical dependency counselor, and I never completed that because, baby. So, and that's fine. I mean, that's not, I've done a lot of work with that, with dual diagnosis, and it's not really my cup of tea. That's really hard because you don't have a lot of people that are really motivated. You have a lot of people that will lie. So it's really hard. Because that's the thing with therapy, is if people are going to lie, there's 0 point to it. And when you're dealing with like court appointed therapy or prison therapy, people are going to lie. They're going to say what they think is going to get them out on parole or probation quicker, right? Like Joran Vondersloot or Chris Watts, like, oh yeah, I found Jesus. Did I tell you? Did you get the memo? Me and Jesus are like this. Like, yeah, I hope so, but kind of have my doubts. Um, okay, like I said, almost done. Oh, so then after outing me and blasting me on, the World News Tonight on her channel, then she says that she's not going to out the YouTuber who went to Kiely Rodni's memorial and secretly recorded it and then posted it on her YouTube channel. So isn't that nice? The person who outed themselves on their YouTube channel, she's not going to out them because she's so nice and kind and polite. Um, and then at the 50-minute mark, I don't even remember what I'm talking about here. She quote unquote asked, could that be possible in mental health? And she answers yes. Oh, I know what it was. She's talking about Lindsay. Could Lindsay's weird ass behavior and the uh, weaponizing of her daughter's death, could that be something that um, could be possible in mental health? That was how she phrased the question. Could that be possible in mental health? Yes, she says. And then she goes on to scold me some more. You don't call a mother such bad names and you don't call a teenager disgusting. But then she continues with calling me disgusting. Um, and I want to remind people that our dear friend Mark, who passed away, was it about 7 months ago, 8 months ago? He was trolled heavily the last days of his life. Some of you guys, I'm sure, are well aware. Can you imagine when you're on your deathbed being trolled? I mean, he was doing such good work on the Kiely Rodni case. My guess is that that was the Truckee Mafia coming after him. Trolled the last month of his life while suffering. Unbelievable. I know Shanda knows a lot about it. She was pretty tight with him. And isn't that the first time I said her name today? Oh, dear goodness. And I didn't text her that I was coming on live. Um, but let me try to get caught up with you guys. We are at an hour and a half almost. She is damaging jazz professional standing. Sue her. The thought crossed my mind, but she barely deserves the time of day for me even talking about her. I'm literally just doing this for my own therapy. So you guys have been my therapy. So I really appreciate your listening. Scammy is disgusting. LOL, CB, you are going to get in trouble. Can't say that about a teenager. Like, really? Because I'm pretty sure that there's like teenagers that have essayed and red roamed 6-year-olds. And then you've got Joran Vandersloot, who turned himself into that type of monster as a serial unaliver before he was even 21, or by the time he was 21. I mean, I'm pretty sure you can call those MFs disgusting as much as you want, and that there aren't any YouTube police that are going to come after you. Might be Trucking Mafia coming after you if it's scammy, but you know what? All they're doing is outing themselves. When I first said those things last year, when I first let the cat out of the bag about my suspicions, what confirmed it more than anything else was the backlash and the trolling and the shadow banning. And it was Mark who pointed that out to me. He said, "You must be onto something because you've been shadow banned." And he said that in a chat. I was like, "What shadow ban?" Never heard of it. And he was like, "Oh yeah, well, you're having it. They're doing it to you." Um, I am glad I'm hearing this crap. She is confused that you are not acting in your professional capacity. You're just an ordinary content creator. And you know what? I mean, I think as long as you're not misrepresenting yourself, like you're fine. Like there's a lot of people on YouTube that talk about mental health that are very clear, like I'm not a mental health professional, and that's fine. I mean, every person who has any knowledge of mental health is allowed to talk about anything that they know. And quite frankly, even if you don't know what you're talking about, you're still allowed to. I mean, there's no brain police for that. So, yeah, you might get yourself sued if you're making crap up about other people that you know damn well is a lie. And again, as a mental health professional, she should know that she has no idea what she's talking about. But I don't think she's any kind of mental health professional. I think that she's a character, and I think she's a bad actor. And like I said the other day, if she wants to apologize to me, that's her prerogative. I mean, that's fine, but I have no investment one way or the other. It has nothing to do with me. Like she's living her life wherever she is, whatever country she's in. I don't freaking care. Um, I'm just glad that I have checked it all out because it was extremely entertaining and educational for me, quite frankly. And again, to reiterate, I only did that in support of Ara because you don't know how hard it is to be blasted on social media until you're blasted on social media. So, as far as I know, that's the only time it's happened in YouTube, but it's happened in my life on other social media platforms that we don't need to go into. And until it happens to you, my experience was I was like, man, I can't believe teenagers like might go off themselves because somebody blasts them on social media. But then when it happens to you, then you get it because It's like somebody's driving down the middle of Times Square with a bullhorn, talking about your deepest, darkest secrets and stripping you naked and assaulting you, basically. I mean, it's humiliating. Um, if it has no truth to it, it still hurts because there's people that might believe it, especially depending on the source it's coming from. Like if it's coming from somebody who has some authority or who people believe has some type of whatever in their background. Um, or if it's somebody that you were friends with that you trusted, that you told your deepest, darkest secret, and then they turn around and do that because they're completely psycho. And again, I see people that do that as completely psycho. Like all that tells me is that they're completely psycho. It doesn't say anything about the person that they're outing. They're outing themselves for being a jackass. So thank you so much for your comment, Casey. I really needed to hear that. I'm going to read it again. Jazz, I'm loving hearing about your education qualifications. You have kind of spoken about it, but not at length. And I'm not trying to like brag because all that does is get people to hate you, right? I mean, I don't want anybody to think that I think that I'm so freaking great. And so I said the stupidest thing yesterday. I kept telling you that I'd share with you what it was. I said that I had a brilliant thought, and it's hilarious because I think I might have crossed my wires when I said it. I did some content on Meredith Kercher, who is the person that Amanda Knox and her boyfriend had been sentenced, I think twice. They were arrested and sentenced twice for her unaliving, and they've been exonerated. But Meredith Kercher, yesterday, I said that I was the first one who did content making parallels with that case and Idaho 4. I think I did, but I haven't looked. But then I did remember that when I was like doing research on all this stuff, um, that I did make parallels between Meredith Kercher and Kiely Rodni. I'm pretty sure I made videos about Meredith Kercher's demise and the Idaho 4 because they are so similar. So it actually surprised me when I saw, oh, look, I made videos about Meredith Kercher's and Kiely Rodni's cases being similar. So I need to review those videos. And maybe I'll put the one that I saw, I'll put it in the links in the description here. But I called myself brilliant for making a parallel, but only because it felt like it was so bolstered by this huge channel ripping off my idea and running with it and pretending it was her idea. So, I don't think that I'm at all brilliant. I mean, I think that I'm just like a little kid, basically. Like I'm just the 5-year-old that I've always been inside me head. And sometimes I'm spot on with stuff, and I've learned that over time. So again, reviewing that video that I put at the end of the description in Friday the 13th second video with Jacob's link and then the link to this. Um, well, what was I going to say? I'm getting tired. Um, I just again, I was flattered that anybody would take time to make a video about me, not knowing what it said, but thinking that they probably did have a lot of good points because, of course, I can be critiqued, I can be shredded, I can be chewed up and spit out like anybody else. But oh, I know what I was saying is that when I watched the entire half-hour video that was being critiqued, I was like, damn, like I'm like solidly right on with all that, I think. I mean, it's been 12 months. Um, and that was just the beginning of it. And I'm pretty sure that consistently it's held water. So that was kind of cool. That was kind of cool. I wasn't like cringing at all when I watched my own stuff. But again, thank you guys for listening to me and giving me your time and your support and your energy because it's a mind F to have been blasted on social media. Again, thank you for the welcoming committee. See you next Tuesday, douchebag. So, oh no, Mark, how did he pass? What was wrong with him? I don't know what his illness was, Pixie Knickers, but he had shared that he was terminally ill. It was very, very sad when he passed away. So I think it was about 7 or 8 months ago. Again, Shan was super tight with him, so she would know all the details. And she's not here. I meant to text her before I started to let her know, but I forgot. I was doing a whole bunch of stuff. And just wanted to get on with this. What time is it? It's just 5 minutes after 12 almost on the East Coast Standard Time. So we're just over an hour and a half, but I can stay on for a little bit more if you guys can. Hello. Also, did you hear about the Amanda Knox news? She's facing a new trial in Italy. Dana, that's the best news ever because I think she got away with murder. I have not heard anything about that. Holy crap. And I want to remind everybody that I learned the other side of the story and the more thorough story from a whole lot of true crime rocket science. That guy literally has written 3 books on the case, and there's so much information in that case that we never saw in our freaking, mainstream media. There's so much, like that there was a knife at Amanda Knox's boyfriend's house that had, I think it was Meredith Kercher's DNA on it, and it was at his house, I think. I'm pretty sure that that's it. But things like that we never got that information here. And Meredith Kercher's family, they deserve justice. They believe that Amanda Knox is guilty. And Amanda Knox is one of these smug freaks, like, in my opinion, Euron and Scammy. She's gross, man. She's disgusting. And let me just tell you the cutest joke that my second son, when he was a little baby, he would say, "Disgusting." So starts with a P, disgusting. Just like he would say, "Paschetti," and he'd say, "Lasagna." So put that in your hat. Disgusting, Paschetti. I mean, most people know Paschetti because a lot of kids say that, but lasagna was good. Disgusting was the best. So that's such freaking good news. I can't wait to see that. But it's interesting to me that all this stuff is blowing up, like Euron's um, alleged confession. I mean, it's a confession, but I think it's a fake confession from a day and a half ago. And I guess I'm not the only one that thinks that. I haven't come across the information yet, but I spoke with one of my friends about it who said that she was reading articles by professionals that were basically saying the exact same thing that I was saying, that they thought that he was lying, that he'd never tell the truth, and that he was covering for those Calpo brothers. I'm sure of it. I mean, come on. Absolutely terrible. But I do want to add in my humble opinion because, everything I say is simply my opinion and for the sake of opening up the discussion. And thank you guys so much for being here and discussing because it's fascinating. And I hope that she gets her comeuppance, Amanda Knox. I mean, I think, has hurt Meredith Kercher's family even more with all of her "I'm so innocent" and dressing like Laura Ingalls from Little House on the Prairie. If you see the way she dressed during the trial, like she was completely psycho and loving it. She wore some whack stuff to court. And you don't dress like that when you go to court. I don't care who you are. I don't care what gender you are. You dress demure. Demure? That's how you say it. Demure. I mean, and then it was bad enough, like that she was a representation of an American in Italy where they already don't like Americans, and she was just like sealing the deal for that, like big time. But they had to spin it because that was going to hurt that whole town or city, um, Pierogi or something like that. Paraguay, I think it's Paraguay. That's a university town, and for university students to be doing to another university student what was done was not what they wanted to be the narrative. So they put it on the black guy who was not a university student. He was just there. So he took the rap, and he just got out of jail last year. So she was shaking in her boots because he was probably working on a book deal. His name is escaping me at the moment, but you guys know Rudy somebody. So he was the one who took the brunt of it. What, he served like 15 years or something. And, she first tried to throw the other brown man under the bus, the guy who owned the bar, and he had kind of fired her. He was kind of replacing her with Meredith. Amanda was pretty broke, and it was the night before rent was due. It was like the November 1st. It was the day after Halloween. There was so much to that whole story. I would really recommend. I'll put some links to True Crime Rocket Science in my description because he really knows that case, and it was just fascinating. Um, so let me catch up before we sign off. Don't have to be a mental health professional to be there for someone who is just trying to talk. And yes, sometimes we need a professional, but just talking can help, in my opinion. 100% harsh one, Shelley. Have you heard of reevaluation counseling? It's kind of a structured program for people that are lay people that want to do exactly that. It's like the active listening, and you really don't say anything if it's not your turn. So you take turns and you just listen. You sit really close, face to face. You hold somebody's hands, and then you guys decide how much time you're each going to take, like half an hour or an hour or however much you want. Um, and so you just listen to them and give them the love, the support that they need, and they do the same for you. And that's been going on nationwide, reevaluation counseling since probably before the 70s. That's a really cool thing. I've known a lot of people who've been into that. I'm really sorry this person did this to you, Jazz. I know how it feels when someone does this kind of thing to you, and it's really awful. I'm sorry. I'm proud of you dealing with it this way. Well, thanks, Casey. That is so meaningful to me. I was very hesitant to discuss it because I want to, put on my big girl panties and rise above it and do the whole killing with kindness, because that is the way to go. When you've got somebody, some dirtbag that's coming after you, killing them with kindness is the best revenge, because it just baffles them and they don't know WTF to do. Like, it's like the worst kind of torture. So it's not really kind. That's the irony of it. But yeah, I just needed to get it off my chest. I was like, if I feel like a jerk for doing it, then I can take the video down. But I figured that I probably wouldn't, even if I felt like a jerk for doing it at some point, that it's like, that's okay, because I just needed to defend myself, and more than that, defend justice and defend Kiely, because I'm just me, and people don't need to like me. That's not a requirement. People don't need to believe me. That's not a requirement. If you think I'm talking out of my rear end, then that's your prerogative to have that opinion, and that's 100% fine. Um, I just am trying to do my best and put one foot in front of the other. And I'm so inspired when I'm doing my videos so routinely. Like, even though I was talking way too fast the last couple of days in my videos, especially the first one yesterday, and then that 2-hour one the day before, and just trying to cram so many cases and so much information into one video. And that kind of bothers me because I like to chill. I like to take things at a healthier pace, but I get really excited and really inspired. And as a creator, content creator, or jewelry designer, or whatever, I've always said that when I'm inspired, it's like I'm suffering inspiration, because, like with making jewelry, I not only stay up all night doing it when I was super inspired, like with new designs or new beads or whatever. Um, I also like wouldn't stop to refill my water or to eat food or to go pee. I mean, that's, anybody who's an artist knows that, right? Pixie Knickers, are you in earshot? So yeah, I mean, I have been really jazzed the last few days, but at the same time, I've been like, man, I just want to bring it down a notch. Because it's nice just to be chill. And I got to practice, right? Because I'm doing that thing. I am so late, obviously. Dana, hello. Thanks for coming. Good for you, Jazz. Cancer, I believe. Okay, Sunset Salty, thanks for sharing. I had no idea what it was. He was just such a sweet man. and so good at the YouTube, like so good at being real and just being human in the artificial intelligence arena. He was a great man and he was the voice of reason, in my opinion. That's a nice way to put it. Like, really perfect. Um, agreed. Replace pinned message. And let's see. Yes, Mark had cancer. Do you guys know what kind? I don't know if that's TMI. I'm just wondering, like, if it was lung cancer, like, that's one of the worst. But yeah, cancer sucks. Sucks. And cancer treatment, so hard. And, then we look at the Suzanne Morphew case, and that's one of the most heartbreaking things about that case is she had cancer at least twice. She beat cancer at least twice, only to have whatever happened happen and to not be able to live her life anymore. So it's just devastating. Like she won those battles that are really tough. And, shit just never stops. I mean, I'd been through so much when I was younger, growing up with such a unstable upbringing. Um, I thought by the time I made it through graduate school and things were going so great in my career and I was a shooting star, I thought, yeah, all that difficult stuff is in my past, right? Yeah, uh-huh. That's called naivete. So, when you're doing well, people want to take you out. People want to take you down. I call it the Nancy Kerrigan syndrome. But that's always been a thing, taking someone out at the kneecaps, chopping someone's legs off. Those are phrases usually from people that are feeling competitive at work, but people do it in real life, in not at work. um, you know, it's very, very juvenile, but most people are developmentally arrested at a juvenile level. Eric Erickson is one of my favorite philosophers about mental health and counseling. I've wanted to share with you guys about Eric Erickson because his ideas are phenomenal. Um, he had what he called psychosocial development. So the 7 stages of psychosocial development. And the first one is trust versus mistrust. And that's from the time that you're born until you're about 2. I don't know them all off the back of my hand, off the top of my head, but I don't know them all like the back of my hand, off the top of my head, but I might know some. So that's trust versus mistrust. If you don't get that trust, that's where personality disorders come from because you don't trust that your needs are going to be met. So that is when you have an inconsistent, unreliable caregiver when you're a baby. That's why personality disorders are so hard, if not impossible, to treat because it's how you're hardwired. So then once you um, go through that, whichever way it goes, trust versus mistrust. The second one is autonomy versus shame and doubt. And you can really see that in toddlers. Like they want to be on their own. And if you don't allow that, then they don't have any self confidence. Um, and then the third stage is like probably when you're about 7 until 11. And that's probably the industry versus inferiority. Like you're trying to figure out how to do stuff. And then the teenage years where people get stuck is the identity versus role confusion. How many people do you know that are stuck right there? Identity versus role confusion. And a lot of that typically can be, if people are confused about their sexual identity and, um, other less personal issues like am I a punk rocker or am I an acid rocker or am I a hippie, so you're trying on all these different types of things as identities, so identity versus role confusion. And then at the end of your teens you get to a point where you're looking for that real significant relationship, the intimacy versus isolation. So that's from about 19 until like late 20s. um, so intimacy versus isolation. And then after that, you get to your adult years, the generosity versus stagnation. And that's like when you're having kids and having your career and maybe producing whatever it is that you're leaving your footprint on this earth. whether that's art or accounting or making babies or taking care of other people's kids or having your pets, whatever it is. That's your longest stage of the 7 stages. And then the final one in your golden years is despair versus integrity versus despair. So you either will look back at your life and go, wow, that was a good life, or you'll look back with regrets and be like, oh crap, I don't get to do it over now, do I? And the thing about the psychosocial development is that it's so profound, but not to be confusing too, that it's not like you go through this stage and then that stage and then the next stage and then you're at 6 and 7. Um, Throughout our lives, it's kind of more like a river and circular than linear. You're kind of always going through all of that to some degree. It's just that these are like the primary things that you're going through at these points in your life. So, see, I really am a mental health expert. I'm kidding. But most people have never heard his name, Eric Erickson. And he's not the only Eric Erickson that's famous if you Google him. But the 7 psychosocial stages of development are just completely awesome. So, somebody just liked something that I put on somebody's YouTube. I think it was Truth Tsunami, and I commented a damn good question and somebody liked it, so that just popped up. So that's kind of a good place to end, but let's stay caught up and finished with you guys. Um, your morning lives to get my day started. Well, thank you. Me too. Like I said, I feel very inspired by keeping myself kind of in 5th gear, so it's really fun to be doing these long lives. Today's another long one. For me, long. For some people, a 2-hour live is short, but yesterday doing 2 1-hour lives, and the day before yesterday doing a 2-hour live. So it's really fun. I feel like I've got so much that I want to talk about with you guys. And yeah, sometimes I might not have a lot to talk about, and then it's nice just to say hi and read your chat. But I've really gotten into the habit of doing lives and not the pre-recordeds. Like the only pre-recordeds I've done recently was when we were up in Chicago, and they're terrible. So awful. It was with my cell phone. I had like zero lighting. It was just awful, awful, awful. Because you know me, I'm all about the lighting and I like the laptop. Um, but I left them up even though they were terrible, and I had to redo them each like 4 times just because my family kept freaking walking into the room that I was trying to hide out in the corner with the bad lighting. So funny. It was so funny. So I was trying to not make any videos while I was there, and I knew that I might, but I figured if I didn't take anything with me, that I'd be less likely to. But I just felt like I had to because of some of the crap that was going on with the Maui case. So yeah, we got to keep on that freaking Maui case. Um, okay, I'm just gonna stay caught up with you guys and then sign off. First heard of the Amanda Knox thing. I know, I'm so happy about that. I want to look at that right away. I mean, I was so stunned with Suzanne Morphew's remains being discovered. I was so stunned with Joran Vandersloot um, and his stupid jerk off whack job confession, um, fake confession, pack of lies, and man, Meredith Kercher's family deserves the effing truth. Yeah, I've done a few videos on that case, not just comparing it to Kiely Rodni or Idaho 4, but I'll put some of those links in the description later. Um, I actually just heard the news today and knew you'd be excited. I'm not exactly sure what it's for. Think defamation or something. Well, she's really defamed a lot of people, and she's tried to go on and make a career out of the destruction of that family and that young girl's life. She's tried to make an entire career. She's used that as a launching point for a multi-million dollar little empire that she's built herself. Any reasonable person would just put that behind them and let it go. But no, she's got to capitalize on it and just keep shoving it in their faces that, ha ha, I got away with it. Disgusting. Thank you, Casey the cat. I love it. That is beautiful. I've never like written it out. That is so cute. Basket, that's what our first said. Basket. That was the first word they said? Biscotti, biscotti. I gotcha. That's adorable too. I love it. Biscotti. Yeah, I loved the lasagna. I still call it that. Slander conviction was overturned. Um, oh, was that with the Amanda Knox? Let's see. Dana, that's wild. What a coincidence that when I come into the show, she was talking about that very situation. Which one? The Amanda Knox stuff, the Meredith Kercher. See, I really like to try to say the victim's name, not the alleged perp. I'm going to replay this after as I've missed loads. Love your lives, hon. Well, thank you, Nana Psychoville, aka Leah, and welcome. Um, yeah. When it was Paula Plunder who told me that she reviewed all of her videos, and I thought, oh, good Lord, how do you do that? I thought there's no way I could do that. I don't have enough time in the day. I want to watch other people's videos, but it's really good to do it so that I can catch the chat that I missed and, catch any mistakes that I might have made. Because, like I said, sometimes it's the littlest thing, like I mean to say 16, but 17 comes out of my mouth. There was literally that mistake the other day. What was it? It was something that it was with the Maui case, that text that they said that they sent out that it took them 6 weeks to find. It said on it, I think the timestamp was 417, and I meant to say 417, and I didn't notice until I watched my video that I said 416. So I mean, it's a tiny little error, but it's important to be precise because some people will just discredit you and say, oh, well, she doesn't know what she's talking about because it was 417 and she thinks it's 416. So she's dumb. So, and also it's just good to be precise, just for the sake of precision and accuracy, right? Uh, because there's just so much chaos in the world and it's so easy to get your wires crossed. Hit the like button when you leave, please, and thank you. I did basic counseling courses. I worked with teens. I remember doing active listening, and some find it easy, some don't. By the way, I never notice that you rush. I never feel rushed. Well, that's cool. And it's funny because I can be like this, like I can fill a lot of time talking and feel like I have a lot to say that's interesting to me and hopefully others. But when I'm in my therapist role, I put a freaking sock in it. Like I very rarely share anything because I'm being super focused on them and only want to share something when I think that that's what they need. But it's also hard because a lot of therapists, I think, give too much advice. I don't think you should be giving advice. And a lot of clients want advice. So they're like, how come you're not giving me advice? And it's like, well, because I'm here to listen and you'll come up with your own answers and I'll, share a story that I think might be helpful. But if I think it might not be helpful, I'm going to reconsider and not share it. So I'm more apt to stay silent. Also, because when you're silent and people get to a point, this is good for criminals too. When they get to a point where they don't know what to say next, don't fill it in for them. Whether you're doing it out of compassion for somebody that you care about, or you're doing it out of justice because you want the truth to come out, just sit with the silence because they will fill it. And that's usually the most important part of the conversation. Think of water is required. Sometimes forget how to drink. I just did such a big gulp because I'm super thirsty. One sec. It's 2 hours. My goodness. So, yeah, that's right. Get so caught up in painting. Isn't it hilarious? I know, like a lot of times when I'm doing the video, I don't realize that I'm hungry or that I need to go to the bathroom until I'm done. And then I'm like, oh man, I got to run to the bathroom or I'm starving. But yeah, I'm just so caught up in it. I mean, 2 hours goes so fast, you guys. It's crazy. And I know I've been in other people's lives, like Shanda's and Kelly's with What's the Obsession, where we've gone on for hours and hours and hours, and it seems like nothing because you're just like talking with your friends, basically. And again, when you're sharing the airtime and you're trying hard not to interrupt, It takes a long time for a good conversation to be complete like that. Um, that's right. Get so caught up in the painting. Mark was a really nice guy, never moaned about the trolling he suffered. Just disgusting what happened to Mark. Yeah. And I don't know who was trolling him, but they maybe should be outed. It was probably MC, in my humble conspiracy theory opinion, allegedly. And it was probably the Truckee Mafia. Um, and I just still can't believe that anybody would accuse Ara of being something like that. That's crazy. And I would imagine that the content creator that did that is in a really bad place now because she's been blasted for it. So I'm not going to say her name, but she shouldn't have done that to Ara. That was ridiculous. That was really messed up. And it was really hard on Ara. And that was right before her big competition. And you know what? They won that competition, the marching band thing, and she probably was so nerve-wracked that she was just like wanting to crawl under a rock and hide. But that girl rocks and then rocketh some more. Painting poetry crafts, get so into it, the time flies. Eric Erickson, I will have a look. You have told me about this guy before. Thank you, because I forgot. So the other thing that makes time fly for me, but also kind of makes it slow down, and it really gives me the clarity of thought because it's like a dream state. Swimming, gardening, the yoga, and yeah, painting and jewelry designing. When you just try to clear your mind and not think about anything, for me, that's when I get real clarity of thought. And those are the things that I'm like, wow, trust that. I trust those thoughts the most, those ideas. And I love it. I love it when I don't even have any idea what type of thing I'm going to come up with. Like, oh, what kind of light bulb? Love will save the day. Ah, that was a very important sign. I have been wanting to add this one for so long, but I don't want to make it too busy. So I'm just going to put it up because it's so cool. And I've figured out how to do it without, I took, as you can see in my little home decor channel here, I took out a whole bunch of stuff because I was wanting to prove to you guys that I can do the less is more thing. And also just because it's fun to switch it up. And I don't like it when it gets so busy. I like the less is more. There's still a lot, especially because of all the words, the tranquility and that, and don't forget that, or that, or that, or that. Um, and I love my Statue of Liberty. Okay, let's see. Yeah, I think I have mentioned Eric Erickson once or twice, but I've really wanted to do like a whole video of just Eric Erickson, just those 7 ideas, the 7 stages. But again, you can Google it, the 7 stages of psychosocial development. It'll pop right up. But yeah, he's the bomb. And I find it extremely helpful through everything I learned in graduate school and my internship and my early career. That was probably my favoriteest and still is to this day. Absolutely. I'm 25th. Oh, 25th thumbs up. Thanks, Casey the cat. I hate that I'm never given notification. So annoying. YouTube. Hey, Kim Marin. Maron. Marin, right? Is it Marin? Um, Thanks for coming in. Ninja Chihuahua. I love that Jazz is such a perfectionist when online. We love you, Jazz. As just you. Am I a perfectionist when I'm online? I try not to be. I mean, I'm definitely like I try to be a perfectionist with all this because, I know that I'll knock it over. Oh, and I added these little cute lights underneath that. We got the mouse, we got the squirrel, we got Gabby Petito pumpkin. Like I told you guys, this came from a thrift store in Florida in the same area where Gabby Petito and the Laundries had been living. It possibly could be the exact same pumpkin, or more likely, it's probably from the same manufacturer. Or, I mean, I think it's like hand crocheted or something. I think it's a little bit bigger than the one she has in that photo where she's like that. But it's just so cute. And yeah, Gabby's another super sad story, but her parents are not going to give up until they get their complete justice. So it's an inspiration for all of us. Um, Just joining. Hey, Bex. I'll have to start over when you're done. Well, we're not going to wrap it up. We're just going to go on all day. Let's do a Shan 11 hours. One of the funniest things Shan ever said to me when we were texting about this stuff is, she did like an 11-hour one on a Friday night, and then she might have been doing like a 7 or 10 hour one on Sunday and did some on Saturday. And her joke was like, squirrels on fire live all week. That was in the heat of it. That was like the all time. I can't imagine doing a 10-hour live. It's amazing that people do it. Um, so let's see. Yeah, we'll be wrapping up soon, but it's so fun. I'm sorry that I had to miss a whole section to stay caught up with you guys. I don't want to do that again. Um, Talking about Meredith Kercher when I came in with the news. Oh, Dana, wow. I'm so glad I found that comment and went back for it. Oh, man, that is wild. See, that's what I'm talking about, girl. Ladies and gentlemen, that's what I'm talking about. That is wicked cool. Wicked, wicked cool. Casey, I agree. A weekly psychology live would be really cool. Yeah. Yep. We can do that. I don't know about weekly because I want to talk about all these freaking cases, but we'll see. I mean, I love to just go with the flow. Like, I don't have a serious plan. I have an idea of how things will go, but then it's nice to just be spontaneous. That's how I like to live. That's why I like to be so structured with my time and my schedule because there's so much um, chaos, but then it leaves the door open for spontaneity. Like, just because you have something planned, it doesn't mean that you have to follow through with that plan. But it's good to have a plan. It's good to be flexible. Absolutely. What's going on with Amanda Knox? I never believed that. Oh, she's such a freaking dirtbag. She's the worst, in my opinion. And like I said, I was in full support of her when she was released and came back to Seattle. I was like, go, Amanda. I mean, I didn't talk to her, but I saw her once downtown and I was just like, wow, that's her. She's been through so much. Because the University of Washington, where she was going to college, that's a very prestigious school. Very, very, very prestigious. And it's right downtown Seattle. It's a great, great school. And the high school that she went to was on Capitol Hill in a super prestigious private high school. So that girl is again one of these people that had everything going for them. And then let's see. Agree, Ninja and Casey. I love that Jazz reads the comments, makes it fun and easy to do other stuff while listening. Oh, very cool. Right. Because then you're not having to read the comments. It is so hard when you're trying to just enjoy somebody's video, they're live, and you're trying to fold your laundry or do whatever you need to do. And then you're also trying to read the comments. You can't, you have to decide that you're either going to keep up with the comments or not, especially if you want to comment. That's just a lot of work, even if you're just watching and commenting. So thanks, you guys, for your active listening. Yeah, how cool would that be, Leah? I would enjoy that. I know Jazz is the real deal. So many fakes and bad therapists. I really hope Jazz considers it. I totally will. I love just being inspired. So you guys inspire me and it sounds like a good idea. But you never know until you get there, right? That's just real life. Like sometimes what sounds the coolest is sheer hell. Like my first job right out of graduate school as a full-time art therapist. I thought, damn, like you can't find a job where you're paid full time to be an art therapist. So I found one and I was so excited. And it was one of the worst jobs I ever had. That's how I got into the legal work because I worked for the same Kitsap Mental Health Services, is where I worked, Kitsap County, across the water from Seattle. I call it Kitsap Mental Health. No offense. If anybody from there is watching this, they'll laugh because it's a rough place to work. Community mental health is always rough. But as a full time art therapist there, I moved on to their crisis and commitment department. Not something I ever thought I would do. I had made friends with somebody who did that, and she was a doctorate level, and she was so smart. And when she was trying to tempt me to come over into her office, I was just like, no way. Like, I don't know that stuff. And I have no desire to know that stuff. And I don't think I'd be any good at it. But I also really didn't have any desire to work in a psychiatric facility. And I didn't think I'd be any good at that either. But I landed that internship with that amazing mentor, and I enjoyed working inpatient. It's challenging, but I also was really good at it, surprisingly. And I'll tell you how I was really good at it. It was weird. Um, I had this feeling, kind of like in my solar plexus or in my I don't know if that's like which chakra that is, right there in my solar plexus, my spleen, right in my spleen. I would have this feeling that, like, kind of like a little compass guiding me of what I needed to say or not say. And so I remember specifically working with a very, very difficult patient. I don't like to call people patients, but when you're in that setting, that's what you call them. Um, and she was a severe case. She had had electric shock therapy, which wasn't something that you'd see a lot of, and when you saw it, it was more like the residual negative effects of that they're kind of screwed because of that. So she'd had a lot of trauma, electric shock therapy. She wasn't even that old, but probably like in her 30s, and she was very, very difficult. And she was what we called a frequent flyer, and most people that went in there were involuntary, and they were a result of what was called a 5150. I think they still call them that. That's the revoking a person's civil rights for 72 hours. And then once that 72 hours is up, they're usually put on a longer hold, like 2 weeks at that point in time. That's how it was anyway. Um, so the 72-hour hold is for further evaluation and treatment. Anyway, she was so difficult to work with, and it was very unnerving in that place in my stomach or my abdomen. And but I somehow would then know what to say and what not to say because I was paying attention to this real physical thing. It was really wild. And all of the people that worked in the psychiatric facility, my supervisor and all of her peers, the nurses and the psychiatrists and the occupational therapists, they were all just like, how does she know what to say all the time? I didn't tell them. I told my supervisor though. I was like, well, this is what happens, and this is how I know what I need to say or not say. Is I just pay attention to that weird little compass in my spleen. Aren't you glad I told that funny story? Is that so bizarre? But the point is to pay attention to yourself, pay attention to your body because your body talks to you. Like when you have a migraine headache, that means you need to not be doing what you thought you needed to do or not be thinking what you thought you needed to think. In my opinion, I don't know because I have never really suffered migraines, but just once, one time, and that's what it was that one time. That was a long time ago. But anyone I've ever spoken with at me as the professional, them as the client, or anyone I've ever spoken with casually, just as people that do suffer migraines, agree with that theory. So, but some people are so wrapped up in what is expected of them, they don't even realize that there's a choice to say no, thank you. Not today, Satan. Not today. I have watched my videos just to see how I sound, and then my family said they like it, and I'm me, and I also have some who uh, love and look just because we are spread out, and I'm the one who's trying to keep the peace. I think people like my old mentor. I think she watches my videos to see me. I know a dear friend of mine, the one that me and my sibling lived with for a year. She was both of our best friend. She watches me. She first discovered me because she was a Watts the Obsession fan, and she was like, "Oh my god!" She started texting me while she was watching me on Watts, and it was awesome. It was so cool because we stay in touch, but we're not in touch that often. Good for Ara. I love her. Oh, we all love Ara. She's the bomb diggity girl. I had to get more coffee. I'm running on a few hours of sleep. I got as much sleep as long as you have been live today, but I'm good. I'll get a nap if I need to. Truth for Kiely. Yes, always truth and justice for Kiely. Oh my God. Said something about Ara. Nope, that pisses me off. Yeah. Yeah, like I said, I haven't wanted to blast the person because I think she's been well blasted, even though I don't think anyone's tried to do it directly, but people have just run to Ara's defense and just been like, no, 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 no. Uh-uh. Um, and I'll tell you what it was. Again, I don't like to be so mysterious. I just think that's kind of cruel if you don't know. So she showed a photograph of a kid. Shan showed it in one of her lives. I'll put the link to her live. She showed this other content creator showed a photograph of a kid from Truckee from a long time ago and said that she thought it was Ara and was basically implying that Ara was not who she says she is and that she's part of this like Truckee mafia kind of thing, like a fake content creator pretending that she's fighting for Kiely when really she's just some sinister lowlife, like to the degree of those people that we don't like to talk about, the ones that pumped out that whole freaking fire cam video. I was really upset about what was said about her. She's so sweet. It was cruel. Like I said, she's very sensitive. It was really hard on her. I mean, I thought it was ridiculous, but I understand the sensitivity. And again, that was why I started reviewing that stuff because I really wanted to kind of feel her pain so that I could not only say, like, oh, I understand, but like, really, really, I understand. I mean, seriously. So for me, it's been very cathartic, very cathartic. Cha-ching! My fancy word. And if you're not smart enough to know what that means, I'm just kidding. I mean, that's what's so stupid is it's like there's a lot of words that I might misuse or I don't know how to enunciate. That doesn't mean that I'm not intelligent. It just means that I don't know how to use that word properly or enunciate. So I'm okay with that. I mean, that's how you learn. That's why I like to Google things and look at the sources and look at dictionaries, read dictionaries. I learned that from mi madre. But, the me Googling things and talking about it online is where this other content creator just took it and ran with it. Like, oh, she likes to Google stuff. So she must just Google every single thought that's in her head. She must not have a brain. Yeah, that's how it works. You'd have to have those Google glasses, right? And these are not those, but those would be pretty wild. I don't know if I could do that. Present here, me late. What me? Sandra, love you, Ara. If you see this, yeah, lots of love for Ara and lots of love for Fred Field, who lost his fur baby. Um, please do a Eric Erickson live. Oh my goodness. Yeah, who said, oh my goodness? Yeah, I love Eric Erickson. I will for sure. I've thought about it in the past. So, um, Party UV5. Hey, hello. I don't think I know you yet, do I? Um, Oh, Party of Five. Got it. I was thinking, like, isn't that like a TV show? I want to go through the phone if I hear anything bad about Ara or Shan. Oh, I know people like to rip Shan up, and she's got pretty thick skin. But I think even when you have thick skin, it's still a pain in the butt. You just gotta ignore it. I mean, that I think shuts them down more than anything. Is just don't give them the attention that they're after. 40 of us here. Who's going to be the 26th? Perfectionist in a good way. Well, I like to think that I'm not a perfectionist, but I do kind of aim for perfection and then I just give up, because you just get to a point where you can always keep making changes and keep making improvements, but you just got to say, this is where I am right now. And that's one of the hardest things I think about starting a YouTube channel is it's hard to see yourself on the screen and to accept yourself right now the way you are. And you might be having a bad hair day and you don't want anyone to see it. That's when you grab a hat. The worst thing is when your hair is fine at the beginning of the video and then by the end it just falls flat. That's why sometimes I'll like grab a hat that I have handy and just put it on. Anyway, I know you guys don't give a crap about my hair, but of course we all care about our hair, especially us chicks, right? She acts like she was right, thinks that she must have found something like what the actual F, but I don't like the feeling God is being used like that from her. It's the way I was like, enough BS Ara is truthful. So what I felt like I discovered in this whole process with Ara and with me and these content creators that were like calling us out, I felt like they were accusing us of exactly what they are. And that's what I have seen. I said this, I think, yesterday or recently in a previous video. That's what I've seen with corruption is that people in high authority positions that are corrupt will accuse other people of doing what they've done, which is why I'm so interested in that case of Darcy Smith. I called her Carla Smith the other day, and I forget how to do that thing where you can type over it and make a correction. Shan was trying to tell me, and it's like I've done it, but I forget how to do it. Anyway, Carla, no, Darcy Smith in Idaho in Bonner County. She's the young mom who allegedly unalived herself at work. She was the director of the fair and she unalived herself in her car at the fairgrounds like 3 or 4 days after she was interviewed by the police for an investigation about some missing funds. And she had launched a grievance against some mucky mucks, some supervisors above her. Um, and those people never got investigated. The complaint that she made never got investigated. But a few months later, she was investigated for some missing funds. And then she unalived herself, allegedly. I call BS. I doubt she did anything with any funds. I really want to look more into it. And there are other people that are there that are looking into it. Thank goodness. There's some investigative journalists, but that's a couple counties away from Moscow, and one county away from where Bonner's Ferry is, where the um, lead detective has his meats and locker place. That's Bonner's Ferry, not to be confused with Bonners County. So Bonners Ferry is not in Bonners County. I forget the name of the county that they're in. And then that's where that one Dr. Drake was shot by another, allegedly, a doctor was put in jail for shooting Dr. Drake, a fatal shooting, but that doctor got exonerated. And the one of the people that was involved in fabricating that um, wrongful imprisonment, I believe, was at the scene of the crime in Moscow with the Idaho 4, the ISP trooper, the Idaho State Patrol trooper, whose name I don't have. I've been trying to find it. I have it somewhere, but anyway, he's the guy who took the knife sheath into evidence, the knife sheath that they processed, the tiny, tiny little string of DNA. They processed it and couldn't find anything. And so they shipped it off to Texas. And then those Texas people found out that it was the criminal defendant, allegedly. And when you process DNA, you consume the DNA. So they kind of screwed themselves by saying that it was such a teeny, teeny, tiny amount because whatever would fit on what they said, like a head of a pin or something like that in that little back of the snap, that would be consumed in the first time that they processed it. There would be nothing left to send to Texas, in my opinion. Or maybe it's a fact. It's a fact, in my opinion. I'm pretty sure it's a fact. Let's see. Yeah. Sorry, I went off on a tangent, didn't I? I don't even know how I got there from the R comment, but that's cool. We're at 2.5 hours. This is the longest live I've ever done, and I was not intending to. I just keep trying to catch up with you guys. Oh my goodness, I'm a retired nurse and had forgotten about the 7 stages. I remember it being talked about in my psych classes and Eric Erickson. I need to go review as I am not in that look back. Yeah, check it out, Party of Five. Um, I'm number 36, CB. That is way cool. Thanks, you guys. That's like almost 100% or maybe 100% by now. That is way cool. Yeah, my videos have been getting more views lately, which is nice. It was wild. Like a year ago, they were getting thousands of views. Like that was 5 weeks in. That's why I think that content creator got so jealous. Thousands of views. It was Wild, wild, wild. And then, more recently, when I started getting back into the Kiely Rodni case, it dropped from, I think I was averaging about 1,000 a video. It dropped way down, like lower hundreds. And now it's coming back up to like maybe approaching the mid hundreds. Um, so that's good. I mean, you got to keep your channel healthy you know, so that it's inspiring for other people as well as yourself. I really hope Jeds does that. Would love that. We would gang up on her. We would gang up on her. That's cute. That's funny. Oh, yeah, I love Eric Erickson. I'd be so happy to. I've thought about it for a long time. I'm not making it that long. I mean, I am now in my look back stage. My son's psychiatrist said that a little bit of lithium is good for most people. Lithium is a salt. Who I learned that from is oh dang it, was it Katie Couric? There was If it wasn't Katie Couric, it was somebody in a career like hers that had, they were a super successful and investigative journalist, and they were doing other things too, like maybe starting a clothing company and perfume or something. They were like diversifying. That's when they got diagnosed with the bipolar. And she had the bipolar 2, which is much harder to identify than bipolar 1 because your manic phases aren't quite as accentuated. So I think a lot of people have bipolar 2 and don't recognize it. But she said lithium is a salt, and she was, I think, being interviewed on David Letterman or something like that. She was just like, it's a salt. And I was like, wow, it is a salt. I never thought about it like that. Wow. You really have the coinkydink thing. You have the spooks or angle of something weird. It's true. And now that we say that, it's going to be jinxed and I'm going to be all out of sync. No, that is way freaking cool. My partner's mom had electric shock therapy. Horrible, 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 horrible. I believe it. There, I think, was one person that I've heard that it was successful for, but I think it was more like a Frankenstein science experiment, honestly. You were sharing so much today, instinct and gut feeling. Thank you, CB. That's another simpler way to phrase that whole story I told you. I was just getting really specific. Really funny. Let's see. Where was it? Wow, this is one of your longest live streams. This is the longest live stream because I've looked lately. I think it was like 2 hours and 22 minutes or something. I wasn't trying to hit beyond that, but we did it. We did it. I just had so much to say, and you guys have had so much to say. So thank you. Not complaining, just notice how long you've been live. Yeah, I know, but it is so hard when I see, that somebody's done a long live. If it's anybody but Shan or Ara, I'm just like, I just don't have time. If it's Shan and Ara, I'll make time. I'll definitely, I don't want to miss any of what they say. I love what they have to talk about. Even when they're just chewing the fat, that's cool too. Ara's awesome. She is the best. Oh no, why would they do that? Ugh. Well, maybe jealous. I don't know. I have nerve damage and TBI, and my migraines suck. And yes, my emotions make them worse, but yes, it can make it worse. Thank you for the link. Oh, who put in a link in? I didn't see it. That's horrible. Unravel, hello. I said it in her chat when she did it, and also one of what was supposed to be Larissa, and I said, nope, I don't think so. I'm so glad that you said it in the chat when she did it. I remember somebody there that was probably you, and um, yeah, I'm not familiar with the one of Larissa, but yeah, that stinks. Larissa's really put her, um, she's shared a lot of personal information, and that's rough. And then when people go south with it, like, and I haven't been through the same stuff, and I haven't shared that much about what I've been through, but I started to say this earlier, thinking that the rough years were behind me. And you can't ever think that because you'll have another thing coming. But like the things that this content creator, that this whole video has been about, the things that she was saying, like, well, justice has never lost a kid, and hopefully she never will, but she doesn't know what it's like, and she has no, uh, her opinion about Kylie's mom is invalid because I say so. Um, I mean, that was a few months after my own mother passed away, and that was incredibly hard. And I've been through a lot of challenging things, and I have a lot of compassion, especially for anybody who's lost a child to anything. But any loss is rough. And it was just so ridiculous. It's like I was very hesitant to criticize Lindsay. And when other people started doing it, I was like, oh, but I also thought that what they were saying was true and accurate, but I was not quite getting there myself. So the video that she picked, I think, was the first one where I was talking about the makeout scene, but I called it like the spooning session or something like that, the makeout presser. Your body doesn't hurt. It is talking to you and telling you something. You're doing what you're doing or have done to you physically or emotional. Listen to your body talk. Your body talk. Wasn't that a song? Yeah, that's Olivia Newton-John, right? Let's Get Physical. But yeah, it's true. Pay attention to your body because your body doesn't lie, especially when you feel it in your chest or you feel it in your stomach. An interesting little factoid, when people get inpatient, when they're doing their intake in a psychiatric facility, they almost always complain of stomach aches. Like when you're going through a very emotional time, you are going to have a stomach ache. You're also going to have problems with your appetite. You're going to have problems with your sleep. And those are some of the best medications, is just a schedule and like what I call 3 hots and a cot, 3 square meals at scheduled time and a scheduled bedtime and a scheduled time to wake up. That will straighten out a lot of people. It took me a long time to believe in the medications because I was very, like, much of a naturopathic kind of approach and thought that the medications were bad. But I don't think that after working in a psychiatric facility and working outpatient and doing all the other stuff, a lot of the psychiatric medications are fantastic. So fear not if you're in a situation where somebody has said you need lithium and you're like, oh crap, isn't that going to screw me up? I had one client a long, long time ago, early in my career, who had to take like 10 different medications to counteract the lithium because she had a severe case of bipolar and had had it her whole life. And I was like, isn't that horrible that you have to take 10 medications to counteract all the side effects of the one medication? And she was just like, you didn't know me before. She was like, I don't care if I have to take 20. It was like nothing compared to living with untreated bipolar disorder. So yeah, like my mom I thought was suffering depression. I was always trying to convince her that it was safe to try an antidepressant, but she wouldn't have it. But then she would, say that she'd been suffering depression kind of waxing and waning her whole life. I'd be like, "Mom, just try it. They're pretty harmless. Like they've been around for a long time and they don't always have side effects for people." And, people have taken Prozac while pregnant and the babies have been fine. So, I mean, Prozac, Zoloft, Wellbutrin, those are the safest in my knowledge. Paxil is one that I try to steer people away from. And even the very rare person who says Paxil is good, they try to steer people away from it too. It works for very few people, but it's just a really, it was pushed. It was heavily pushed by doctors for a long time. And for most people, it was horrible. Um, okay, enough. Let's see. Truckinees and liabilities are the trucky way. LOL, tuck frucky, hit the like button, y'all. And that song, The Trucky Way by T Rev, I love that song. I mean, him and Kevin Neese with his My New Friend song. I don't know, are there other Kiely Rodni songs? Those are the only two that I know, and they're both super amazing. Oh, Sheena Easton, thank you. I thought it was probably Olivia Newton-John in the video, the body talk. Let's Get Physical. Or maybe it was a different thing. I'm just crossing my brain wires. It's easy to do. I see jazz as more off the cuff rather than perfect. Although I know what you mean because I do feel like jazz would not fill in space with rubbish if that's what you mean by perfect. Oh, that's so nice, you guys. Thank you. I try really hard not to. Like if I'm having a brain fart, I just say, "Man, I'm having a brain fart." Fred Field 2 hours ago. This is a record, dude. Harsh One says, Truckee here already. Hit that like button. Everyone's turn. Passing by to say love and support. It's been a long time. Hey, J Rod. Welcome. Nice to see you. Yeah, I saw you in Shan's live that she cut short the other night. That was funny. Did you go over into Ara's live? I haven't been able to catch the whole thing yet. And you guys are so nice. Got to go to a doctor's appointment. Have a great day. Oh, look, I'm like all caught up, just about so close. Um, and let's see, lost sleep over Shan's lives. Oh, I know, I know. When I hopped on that short one the other night, I was seriously thinking I'll just stay on for 4 hours if she goes for 4 hours. But then pretty quickly after I asked the questions that I was dying to get up there to ask, I was like, yeah, I need to go to sleep. So I stepped off and then she wrapped it up a few minutes later. But it was funny because she wasn't seeing my comments. Like, I'm like, where's the link? And so then I kept trying because I really wanted to ask these questions, like the photograph that she was talking about, because I didn't know which one it was. Um, and so then I'm like, the damn link. If you guys saw me in the chat, it was hilarious because I kept thinking this is the last time I'm going to try, and then I'll just give up and go to sleep. But then she finally did drop the link, so I got up there for a few minutes. We love Shan. Yeah, you guys, thank you so much for being here. Sending you all light and love, and nice to see you, Mr. J Rod, on point. You did a live once on a Sunday morning, probably like 10 months ago, I'm going to guess. And I was there the whole time. It was like 6 hours or like between 6 and 7 hours, and it didn't seem very long. I was like, how on earth was that 6 or 7 hours? Um, you probably remember. That's probably your longest. I don't know. Anyway, you guys have a lovely day and weekend, and I will see you Monday, probably not before then. Take really good care of yourself. Drink your agua, eat your veggies and high protein, and just be kind to yourself, be kind to others. Love the people around you and the pets and the plants and animals. Very important. Thank you guys so much. I really appreciate you guys, and I really appreciate being able to do this live and tell you all this stuff that I was like wanting to, be a big grown up about and take the high road and say, oh, it's all right. But you got to keep it real, right? I mean, that's what's most important. So thanks for accepting the warts and all. I fell asleep. My mom and I didn't get along. She got on meds and I love talking to her. She died a year later. Oh, I'm so sorry. Yeah, my mom and I had a really rough time the last few years of her life. And it sucks because I miss her so much and she's fucking awesome. So, I mean, when someone passes away, you're just like bygones are bygones. And she'd been in a nursing facility for 10 years. So once she went into the nursing facility, like it was like overnight, I just let everything go. I was just like, yeah, I love my mama. So at least I got like the bonus 10 years with her because she had a near death experience that got her into the nursing home right before she turned 70. So she had complete kidney failure. And that's what got her there. So she was on dialysis 3 times a week, all day long, like 8 hours. It was probably a 5-hour treatment, but it would take 8 hours out of her day to travel to the dialysis clinic, get the dialysis, and then go home. And she was just like, you know, laid up for the rest of the day after dialysis. I mean, they're literally sucking the blood out of you, right? I mean, they're literally taking all your blood out and cleaning it and putting it back in. It's crazy and it's exhausting. And most people, when they start that type of treatment, average life expectancy is 7 years. So she lived for 10 years like that. So we were very lucky to, again, she almost passed away at 6 years. And that was really a rude awakening because it was like, man, I thought we had 7. What are you talking 6? And then I was like, oh, yeah, that's average. She could be less than average. She could be more than average. So we got 10 and it was really nice. It's nice to be able to say goodbye as much as it sucks watching your loved one languish. Um, and we were there. right up to the last second. It's hard. It's really hard. Like I didn't know that I'd be able to do that, but I did it. And it's like the nicest gift you can give your loved one and yourself, right? So, and also with pets. I had done that with one of my pets, but my husband was the first one to do that with one of our pets. And I watched him petting the pet as the vet was putting it down. This pet had cancer, and I was just like, I don't know how you can do that, but I'm glad that you can. But then when that cat's mother passed away, I was able to pet her. We were both petting her when she got put down. My mom was 58, but God gives us what we need. Yeah. All right, you guys, love and light. One more drink of water. And one more thing like Brush Chunky does with what is it, like rainbows and sunshine, puppy dogs and unicorns and lollipops. You guys have a great afternoon. Thanks a million. Love you. Sending you all of the healing energy you need. And the Eric Erickson thing, that's going to be cool. That's going to be really cool. So we'll figure out a time to do that maybe in the next week or two. So thanks again and see you soon. Have a fabulous weekend and take care of yourself.